Holy crap.
People persist in doubting the evidence.
Don't run and hide. Don't be afraid. Don't turn away any longer. The truth will set you free.
If the game is rigged, change the game.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Game changer, game changer, game changer, game changer. The Game Changer Radio Network.
Recruiting all of our apprentices towards Jimmy Church.
And now, your host, the captain of conspiracy, the prince of paranormal. This ain't your daddy's radio network show. This is Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
What's up? All right, let's go. Fade to Black. It's back. That rhymes. I don't know why I say that. It sounds so stupid. This is Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. Today is Wednesday, June 17th. 169 days into the new year, 196 days left. We are live from the City of Angel Studios right here in downtown Burbank, California. COA Vapor. Makers of the Fade to Black e-juice. It's called Fader Loops. Just go to the COA banner at jimmychurchradio.com. You can use the promo code Jimmy, Jimmy, for the Fader Not special. That's free shipping inside of the United States of America. What is cracking? I would like to welcome everybody listening all around the world, all across the United States. Hither and thither, to and fro, back and forth, up and down, east and west, north and south, far and near. This is Fade to Black. For KJCR and the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet, I am your oh-so-humble host, Jimmy Church. What is cracking, everybody? Tonight is our Hangar 1 Part 2 with Rodger Marsh, Melissa Tittl, and Dwight Equitz will all be with us live in one show. Where else can you go and get some action like this? That's what I'm talking about. Fired up. All of our Hangar 1 partners in crime will be with us. The call-in number is 323-825-5045. You can also Skype in Fade to Black and the number 14, Fade to Black 14. I'll try to squeeze in time for phone calls. I'll do the best that I can. I think Dwight wants to take some phone calls. So there you go. Dwight, man, the man of mystery. You know, he doesn't do this often. It was a lot of work, too. Got him on the show. Rodger Marsh and Melissa. You know, putting this together is just so much fun. And we're going to do all of that tonight, man. We're going to have a ton of fun. It's going to be good. Man, there's only 2 shows left, too. This week, next week. That's it. Season over. Hangar 1. All right. Big, proud salute to the men and women in uniform all around the world fighting the good fight for us. For without them, there is no me, there is no you, there is no us, and you could not hear me right now. I really need you to think about that for a second. And if you have any questions, North Korea, it's right there. You can go and do it. Apply. I'll help you. I'll send you the paperwork. Let's do this. Fired up, man. What a show tonight. Man, alive. And it shows like, you know, after last night, Jeff Harmon, you know, great show. And Nancy Talbot on Monday night. You know, those are just, it's just so much fun. And then you roll around into shows like, you know, tonight. It's just so much fun. We're going to have a good time. All right. Yeah, there it is. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. That's what you want to do. And right now I'm retweeting. Mark just tweeted out pictures of Dwight and Melissa. Where's Rodger? Where's Rodger in this? Can't tweet 3 pictures? Space Boy, he's tweeting. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Hashtag F2B. that'll open up the sandbox for you. Get yourself some TweetDeck. Man, I don't know how the world ever got along without TweetDeck. Do you even? I'm going to ask Twitter right now. Does anybody in Twitter use anything but TweetDeck? Do people still use like Twitter? I mean, on my cell phone, I do. I don't have TweetDeck on my cell. But as far as, if you're sitting at a computer, laptop or just, like what we have here in the studio, you've got to have TweetDeck. It's automatic. Let me see here. Okay. All right. Anyway, does anybody still use Twitter these days? Let's get this show cracking. I am ready. Today, Barry Manilow is 72 years old. I'll admit it. I'll go there. I like Barry. Oh, man. You know what? If you just appreciate music, it doesn't matter if it's Ozzy Osbourne or if it's Barry Manilow. It doesn't matter. It's all good. Barry Manilow, 72 years old. Never forget his live album in the 70s. Man, that thing rocked. Barry Manilow, 72 years old. Will Forte of Saturday Night Live today is 45 years old. Greg Kinnear is 52. I like Greg Kinnear. Rita doesn't. Rita just does not like Greg Kinnear. And if a Greg Kinnear movie's coming on, I'll watch it because it's Greg. I dig Greg, man. I think he's demented and twisted and dark and all that. And I know it's going to be nope. Riri will not go for it. The Dead Kennedys frontman Jello Biafra is 57. And our dead guy's birthday today is somebody that influenced me just about my entire life. Artist M.C. Escher, 1898 to 1972, died at the age of 73. And when I was growing up, I wanted to be an artist. I was an artist, and that's how I paid my bills for years, and doing graphic art. And M.C. Escher came along when I was probably... I'm going to say 72, 73. He probably had just passed at that point. But I got an M.C. Escher book, and I opened it up, and I just thought, man, this guy, if I could be as good as this guy flips me out. He was everything that I wanted to be as an artist. And I just didn't realize the influence that he had on the rest of the world and how long that, he lived. 1898, covered wagons all the way to 1972. He did his snake drawing, that famous snake drawing. He did that. I think that was the last thing he did before he passed away. And so he drew to the very end. M.C. Escher, graphic artist known for his woodcuts, too, and his lithographs and his mathematics and how he tied mathematics into infinity and architecture. And his famous work, Relativity, which is one of my favorites. I have a Relativity shirt somewhere. That is probably too small for me to wear. Is the drawing of the stairs with the really cool columns and the roofs and stuff, and they overlapped and intersected and stuff, and that just flipped me out. And I would try to draw those myself and could never quite pull it off. Anyway, and then go check out the movie Labyrinth with David Bowie and Jennifer Connelly. At the end of the movie, through the dream sequence, it's all Escher influenced. And it's really cool to see Escher come to life and how they pull that off at the end of Labyrinth. Great movie. Anyway, Escher then moved to the Rosa Spear Hui in Laren in 1970 at the end of his life. And that was an artist retirement home in which he had his own studio. And he drew there till he died. And he died at the home on the 27th of March, 1972, at the age of 73. Moment of silence, please. M.C. Escher. Absolutely mind-blowing. I was up in Seattle many years ago, and it was a street fair or something going on there, Pike Street. And I found a booth that had M.C. Escher shirts, the whole booth. It was incredible. I was like, wow. And that's where I got my Relativity shirt. I bought a few, but the Relativity, yeah, there it is. Mark just tweeted it out. That's what I'm talking about. That's Relativity right there. I'm going to retweet this. Look at that. That is just amazing. And at the end of Labyrinth with David Bowie, this is what they went through. And pretty cool how they did that. But anyway, that's Relativity. Just go to at JChurch Radio, hashtag F2B, and you can see that. The Mark also just tweeted out, man, I'm running out of time. I'm babbling, but Mark just tweeted out a picture that I had actually tried to recreate when I was a kid. This is MC Escher holding a ball, a crystal ball, his own hand, and it's a self-portrait that he had done. Incredible. He did another one like this with an ink bottle. And there you go. Wow, MC Escher. Okay, all right, where are we? Don't miss Hangar 1 this Friday. Today we have our Hangar 1 special. There are 2 episodes left this Friday and next Friday. Tonight we will have on Rodger Marsh from MUFON, Director of Communications, Melissa Tittl, who is one of the producers from Hangar 1. She'll be with us. She has done a lot of stuff in the paranormal, both for film and television. We'll be talking with her. And then, of course, Dwight Equitz will be with us for the remainder of the show. The call-in number is 323-825-5045. You can also email Jimmy at jimmychurchradio.com. Very simple. You can go to the contact page where we use non-NSA specially encrypted servers. You can go over there and hit us. But always remember, Q Ra, that's what I'm talking about. This is one of my favorites, too. He didn't really do a bad drawing. There you go. There. Thank you, Q Ra. All right, where was I? Any email that you send into the show, it's going to go through somebody else before it gets to me. So just make it good, make it smart, make it right, make it correct, and it will get in here to me. Maybe I'll read it on the air. Maybe. And maybe I just might write back. This is Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses tonight. Hangar 1, Part 2. Rodger Marsh, Melissa Tittl, Dwight Equitz. I'm your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Email is Jimmy at JimmyChurchRadio.com. Do not touch that mouse. I'll be back with all the day's events and all the news that you know nothing about right after this. Stay with us.
You're listening to Jimmy Church, Fade to Black.
Fade to Black will now pause for alien identification.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
What's up, revolutionaries? It's me, Jimmy Church. Do you have an IRS or state tax issue? Well, I did, and I called national tax experts. My problems were fixed, done, fini, and man, I gotta tell you, it was a relief. National Tax Experts are a recognized tax office that services clients in all 50 states. It doesn't matter where you live. Give them a call. I'm telling you, they take the time to understand each and every client's individual financial status as well as their financial goals. And that's exactly what you need, my brother, when you're taking on the evil 3-letter. So, seriously, give them a call today at 1-877-909-5444. Again, 1-877-909-5444. Or go check out their website, www.nattaxexperts.com. That's NATTAXEXPERTS.com. Tell them Jimmy sent you.
9 out of 10 geneticists agree.
Fade to Black is not your father's radio show on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, The Planet.
Hi, this is Chase Kletsky with Fate Magazine Radio, and you're listening to Jimmy Church and Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and the KGRA digital broadcast station where the Fader Knots rock.
I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight is our Hangar 1 Part 2 special with Rodger Marsh, Melissa Tittl, and Dwight Equitz. Stay tuned. We'll start bringing them through the doors here at the bottom of the hour. This is quickly becoming my favorite part of the show, where I do my Power Bites live on the air. I'm smelling it. And, right before the show, I put the Power Bite next to my Orgone pyramid to charge it up. I do. I should take a pic. Man, maybe, you know what? I'll do this in real time. Check this out. All right. I'm going to go bam. I'm going to go bam. And I'm going to go bam. All right. I'll tweet that. I do, man. It's sitting right next to my little pyramid right here. Holding that Power Bite right now. Doing it live on the air. It's my favorite part of the show. Let's do this right now. What is it about vitamins? Love my Power Bites. Nothing coated, nothing hidden, nothing at all like those corporate vitamin companies out there. You can actually see what this vitamin is. And it smells good. Reminds me of, when you were a kid and those Flintstone vitamins, that smell. That's what it just, I know it's good. Power Bites, the Green Turtle Bay Vitamin Company, are dedicated nutritionists. They've been producing Power Bites for over 20 years right here in the United States of America. They produce high-quality nutritional, dietary, and health supplements in small, fresh, potent batches, and they ship direct to you. To order, just go to their website right now, energywave.com. That's energywave.com. Use the promo code KGRA and get free shipping on your order right now. Or you can call 1-800-TURTLE5. It's 1-800-TURTLE5. Live operators are standing by. 1-800-887-8535. Get your Power Bites today. And when you do it, you got to get the Power Mate to go right along with it. Do them side by side. That's what I'm talking about. On this day in history, in 1885, somebody just tweeted this out. Kind of beat me to the punch. 1885, the Statue of Liberty arrives in New York Harbor. Have you seen the Statue of Liberty? There is nothing like when you go to New York. Where's the Statue of Liberty? Where's it at? You've got to get to the right spot, but then when you look out and you see it, it's like, it's just amazing to see that. In 1994, a day that all of America will never forget, O.J. Simpson leads the L.A. police on that high-speed, low-speed chase and surrenders outside of his Rockingham estate to Los Angeles police. Yes, I was in Sherman Oaks that night. I've told the story many times. Was watching it on TV, as he was rolling up from Orange County, which, takes an hour or more, maybe 2 hours, and they had no traffic. But anyway, so I ran out to the 405, went to the bridge, and was waiting, and he exited right before the hill, down on the other side, and rolled into off of Sunset Boulevard. But anyway, there you go. O.J. Simpson, 1994. Is he still he's in prison, right? He's still there. 1972, the Watergate burglars were arrested. 5 men arrested for breaking into the Democratic National Committee offices at the Watergate Hotel in Washington, D.C. Fader facts. Here we go. Are you ready? Do you guys write these down? Do you write the Fader facts down? Do you go to the office the next day and start repeating this stuff? You should. You would look smart. Think about that for a second. You should just write these down. Write them on the palm of your hand. And then you could just walk around, look at the palm of your hand, and whip out stuff like this. In 1977, Voyager 1 was launched, and it will be the first man-made object to leave our solar system. Another Fader fact for you. In the future, computers will run on DNA. That's a Fader fact. Here's another one. The fastest land-based robot in the world is inspired by a cheetah. I have seen the videos, but it only runs 18 miles per hour. That's a Fader fact. There are 25 times more solar energy available every year than the Earth's total coal reserves. It's a fader fact. Q Ross says, I'm going to figure out where you get these. No, you're not. You got to work hard. You got to work hard. Okay. The equator of the Earth, when you are at the equator, when you are on the equator, you are moving at 1,000 miles per hour. One more. 18 miles per hour. 18 miles per hour, not 70 miles per hour, the cheetah. The oldest star discovered in our galaxy is 13.2 billion years old. And those are the fader facts. You feel smarter? You should write those down. Write those down. If you got a good fader fact and you can vet it, you can prove it, because I get a couple a day now. I get through the email. There's a fader fact from somebody. Fader fact, fader fact. If you got a fader fact, send it in. You got to vet it, though. You got to tell me that, because before I read, these are facts. These are fader facts. All right. All the news that you know nothing about. This is about as crazy of a story as it gets. A tiger that escaped from a zoo. A zoo in the Georgian capital of Tbilisi during the freak floods that happened over the weekend killed a man in the center of the city on Wednesday morning. This morning, police special forces were deployed and are hunting down the animal. They haven't found him yet. Georgian media said that the tiger had been hiding in a warehouse and escaped the citywide police search for escaped animals, many of which have been shot dead. Floods hit Tbilisi over the weekend, killing at least 17 people, and are ravaging the city's central districts. It is absolutely crazy, and that is where the zoo is, where hundreds of animals, including, are you ready? Lions, tigers, wolves, and a hippo, all have escaped. That is Armageddon. Could you just imagine lions, tigers, and wolves hungry and on the loose? Judging from a pair of just-released scientific studies, the resource that we actually may be fighting over in the future is groundwater. The new research that was led by University of California Irvine scientists reveals that humans are rapidly draining water from about a third of the world's biggest underground basins or aquifers more rapidly that can be naturally replenished. Worse yet, check this. We don't have a clear idea of how much water is left, which in the U.S. alone supply drinking water to about half of the population and are a key source of water for the agriculture irrigation systems right here in California that help put food on our tables. That means we may well be in danger of running out and not even knowing it. The OneWeb startup, founded by Richard Branson's Virgin and Qualcomm, has announced that it has been awarded the European aerospace giant Airbus a multi-billion-dollar production contract for internet beaming satellites. The company aims provide connectivity to underserved communities around the world through an enormous constellation of small satellites, each one weighing only about 150 kilograms and costing under $500,000 to produce. Of the 900 units that Airbus has contracted now to create, 700 of them will be launched by 2018. 2 years. Insane. Once in orbit, they'll create a constellation 10 times larger than any other satellite set currently in orbit. The other 200 will be held on planet as replacements and backups. Airbus will reportedly produce 10 initial satellites at its Toulouse manufacturing facility before moving the operation to an undisclosed American facility for the remainder of the program. Users of the social navigation app Waze can now get turn-by-turn directions from the Terminator. That's right. This week, Google-owned company announced that Arnold Schwarzenegger has lent his voice to the app as a promotional campaign for the upcoming Terminator film. That's right. It opens in theaters July 1st. With the new feature, users can now navigate their journeys to Schwarzenegger's voice commands, including Hasta la vista, baby. Red crabs. This is insane. Red crabs have appeared sporadically throughout the year, washing up in the hundreds of thousands from Huntington Beach, California, all the way to San Diego. The likely culprit is El Nino. I posted a bunch of pictures today about this. Well, I didn't do it, but somebody else did on my behalf. And the pictures are incredible. It's like when they say hundreds of thousands, they meant to hundreds of thousands of millions of billions. They're insanely covering these red beaches, these little red crabs. And you can't eat them, by the way. They're too tiny. I suppose. Anyway, in Arlington, Virginia, those caught swearing in public will now have to pay up to $250, 250 smacks, 250 ducks quacking in the pond after the county passed an ordinance over the weekend that raises the penalty for profanity in public and public intoxication. The measure, adopted Saturday by the Arlington County Board, increases the fine for anyone appearing intoxicated or profanely cursing from $100 to $250. The crackdown on lewd lawbreakers comes after the Arlington Police Department reported arresting 664 foul-mouthed or drunken offenders last year, and the new ordinance makes Arlington consistent with Virginia State Code. Arlington County Board spokesman Mary Curtis said today, wow, what happened to freedom of speech? Assuming, and now, I've got 60 seconds left to get this out. If you use a Samsung Galaxy from the S3 to the S6, every single Samsung Galaxy device on planet Earth has a significant flaw that lets in hackers. Researchers have now discovered the vulnerability lives in the phone's keyboard software, and it cannot be deleted. The flaw potentially allows hackers to spy on anyone using a Samsung Galaxy phone. You can be exposed by using public or insecure Wi-Fi, but some researchers now think users are exposed even on cell phone networks. Researchers at Now Secure, a cybersecurity firm, said that they told Samsung about the vulnerability last November. Samsung didn't do anything about it. Here we are 7 months later, and nothing has been fixed. How serious is this problem? Now Secure CEO Andrew Hoog said that on a well-established system that ranks cybersecurity problems from 1 to 10, this stood at an 8.3. And that's all the news that you know nothing about. This is Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. Tonight, Hangar 1, Part 2. That's what I'm talking about. Rodger Marsh, Melissa Tittl, Dwight Equitz will all be with us tonight. I'll be back right after this short break. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Email Jimmy@JimmyChurchRadio.com. I'll be back with Rodger Marsh right after this short break. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
Hi, this is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Today, everybody, the Fadernauts and planet Earth is vaping, and I'm very proud to announce our very own e-juice. When we were approached by City of Angels Vapor about Fade to Black e-juice, I wanted to make sure that it was the very best and that the flavors were something that I could create myself, and we did just that. Introducing Fade to Black Fader Loops. This will take you right back to Saturday morning cartoons and your favorite bowl of Fruity Loopy cereal. Just click on the banner or go to www.coavapor.com. Enter the promo code Jimmy for the Fader Not special. That's www.coavapor.com. Go back, Lee Tappy.
Imagine no longer being tied down to your computer, but having the freedom to take live talk radio with you anywhere you go. TalkStream Live introduces our first ever iPhone application. The talk shows you follow now follow you, and your iPhone is now the fastest and easiest way to stay connected to the best talk radio on the internet. Let TalkStream Live transform the way you listen to radio. Listen to live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mobile talk radio from TalkStream Live. Now available in the iTunes App Store.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And this is Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers. We're of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier.
And I'm Ari Gold.
We're the Honey Brothers.
And you're listening to Jimmy Church.
The Revolution.
Attention, all Fader Knots. Studio Dome has a special deal on their SD1 Bluetooth speaker. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on their banner, enter the promo code Jimmy, and you get $40 off and free shipping on the SD1. It's voice activated, comes with a USB antenna, cables, and a carry bag. Never listen to your phone, tablet, or laptop speakers ever again. It's the only way to listen to Fade to Black. That's jimmychurchradio.com, Studio Dome banner, promo code Jimmy. Go back, Lee Tappy. All right, everybody, welcome back. This is Fade to Black. Bespoke radio for the masses. On the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet, I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, our Hangar 1 special, part 2, with Rodger Marsh and Melissa Tittl and Dwight Equitz will be with us. It's going to be a great show. I'm looking forward to it. We have 2 episodes left. Rodger Marsh is a UFO writer, author, playwright, and independent filmmaker. He is the director of communications for the Mutual UFO Network, where he manages media contact, rights and permissions, and content development for television, film, and documentaries and print. Rodger is a MUFON case researcher for the History Channel's Hangar 1, of course. He frequently does radio and print interviews, most recently in the USA Today and Wired magazine, and Coast to Coast. He is the editor of the monthly International MUFON UFO Journal, and additionally produces a twice-monthly international newsletter and daily news feed as the UFO Traffic Report. He is the author of The Sacred Dialogue and editor of Silent Invasion. I would like to welcome to the program Mr. Rodger Marsh. Rodger, how are you tonight, sir?
Hey, Jimmy, doing real good. Glad to be here.
It's great to finally get you on the show, and totally excited. And Rodger, first, I do this with everybody, especially those that have been on the show for the first time. This is just an open-ended conversation. We're going to start where we start. We're going to end where we end. And hopefully we'll end it as friends. Are you ready?
I'm ready, Jimmy.
Okay. Rodger, take us back a little bit, because you've been involved with MUFON for quite a while. And, you know, being a writer and playwright and being a major part of the UFO community for so long, what got you into this? Let's start right there.
Oh, kind of a two-part introduction, Jimmy. When I was a kid growing up, you know, in southwestern Pennsylvania, family with 8 kids, my parents had a UFO encounter in the early 1950s. Quick story, my mom had just gotten up in the middle of the night to use the bathroom. Getting back in bed, she noticed a light out their window, got my father up, and there was a disc-shaped UFO hovering over the building right across the street from them. So growing up in my family, my father was a businessman, and in that era, you did not talk about it. He did not let, your friends and neighbors and colleagues know you had had this encounter, but my father was buying every book and magazine on the market. And then fast forward to fall of 1973, living in southwestern Pennsylvania, I was right in the middle of one of the, biggest, hub areas for UFOs, which happened in that 73, 74 era. Huge number of UFOs. There were other pockets in the country as well. I know Ohio was.
Right.
So one night, right after it got dark, I was with about a dozen people in my neighborhood in Greensburg, Pennsylvania, and where telephone poles in Pennsylvania are 40 feet, somebody pointed down the street and said, "What's that?" And there was a disc-shaped object right above the telephone poles, the width of the two-lane road, just meandering along, no sound whatsoever. I would say just 10 to 15 miles per hour, and it was coming right at us. And we just all stood, and you could just feel the air displacing, just kind of a whoosh sound as it went over. And then it was following the lay of the land, moved away from us. It turned out that there were probably 100 people or more who had been outside at the time in the neighborhood to see that UFO. And it actually returned a second and third time, but at a little bit of a distance from where we had all assembled. And each time, at the second time and third time, military jets moved into the area. And as the military jets were coming into the area, the UFO that had been kind of moving around the sky, kind of hovering, it just took off like a bat out of hell. I mean, from the point where you were watching it hover to the point where it's now just a point of light in the distance, really just a second's time to move away. So if I had not already believed in UFOs in my youth growing up and listening to my father talk about what they had seen, I saw it firsthand.
No cameras.
No cameras, no.
Yeah.
And, that was 1973, and my father was actually in the photo finishing business, nationally. So we had cameras and film, just galore in our household. But I always tell people if I had had a camera, I think I'd have just dropped it. My jaw dropped because
Right.
you're looking at something that you don't know what it is, and it's not making any sound. And you're wondering how it's even aloft. How is it even up in the air like that, moving at 10 miles per hour? It just makes no sense at all. So you kind of want to focus on it. And I've always told people if I'd have had a camera on me, I think it would have just dropped to the ground as it went over.
I know. I had this sighting at a car dealership here in the Valley, and I was with. I don't know. I want to say 6 to 8. And it could have been more, maybe 10 of us. The Helfa Honda guys in the blue shirts, right? And so we're all standing out there, and I had come out looking, at a car, and I had come out of the building, and I see like 6 of the Helfa Honda guys standing in a circle, all looking up at the sky. And this other guy walks past me. This is before or maybe after I started this show, but it was a couple of years ago. And he walks by me and he goes, "Hey, man, go check out the UFO." And I was like, "What?" So I walk out, and I'm standing there, Rodger, with these guys, and we all look up, and this thing was moving across way high, not close to the ground, 60,000 feet high, or I don't know. And it was this spinning thing that was I guess we thought that it was probably a satellite, but it was weird to see it in the middle of the day moving across. But it took about 10 minutes for this thing to move across, and we're watching it spin. And it wasn't like a Mylar balloon or anything like that was blowing in the wind. It was a very consistent spin, rotation. And it was catching the sun off of one facet of it. But my point is, we stood there for 10 minutes at least. All of us had cell phones. All of us had cameras. All of us had the opportunity to videotape. None of us did. We stood there. Nobody did, including myself. I had my cell phone with me. I was just totally sucked into the moment, looking up at the sky and watching this thing. And then it stopped. And when it stopped, it was like it was being positioned. It was under intelligent control, whether it was us or them, it doesn't matter. But and then it stopped, and then the rotation stopped. It slowly stopped spinning, and then it went up and into the atmosphere and was gone. Yeah, it was crazy. Wow. Yeah, I still don't know what it was. I suspect it was a satellite, but it was just so low. You know, it was low for a satellite, high for a plane.
Right.
So I don't know what it was, but none of it's videotaped, and it was in the middle of the day. It was like 3:00 in the afternoon, not a cloud in the sky, you know. And and it was just so funny, so funny. Again, when somebody says, "I didn't take a picture," I could have. I totally understand. You get sucked up in the moment.
Keep in mind, there's another percentage of the cases, because I specialize in the cases under 500 feet. When the UFOs get that close to you, and in a high percentage of those cases, the electronic equipment at the ground level shuts down.
Right. Hey, let me ask.
We just had a case maybe 6 months ago. It was a police officer in Illinois, just north of Chicago, in a squad car, and he had pulled over on a street. And all of a sudden, his cruiser computer goes down. He picks up his cell phone, which is also in the car. Cell phone went down. And right at that moment, he looks up through the windshield and he sees these red lights coming down to the ground level, gets out of his vehicle, speaks to a couple people walking down the street. The three of them watch these UFOs come down pretty low. A few minutes later, they zoom off. He gets back in his cruiser. His onboard computer comes back up. Cell phone comes back up.
Wow.
Yeah. And we have a lot of those cases. So even when you're, you know, if a UFO would even fly into a Steven Spielberg movie set, you know, with the highest definition cameras, it could be that the equipment gets shut down.
How do you explain, Rodger? You've been doing this for a long time in multimedia and so forth. How do you explain the success of Hangar 1? There's a lot of alternative shows out there. There's 24 hours of, you know, UFO documentaries on some channel on cable these days. How do you explain the success of Hangar 1?
Yeah, the great thing about Hangar 1 is it's never been done before, where an entire series was done based on MUFON's files. It's kind of, I mean, imagine if you're a television production company and you're trying to put a show together. If you look at any show, they're you know, it's a hit and miss. Some of them are good, some of them are not so good. But they're just out there on their own doing their historical research, and they're looking at various cases. But nobody had focused completely on MUFON before. And as we get further and further into the show, especially if I have my way, the show will eventually become, you know, completely based on just our current files. I always tell producers, we don't have to look back in time. We don't have to look at the famous things. We don't have to look at hearsay or any of that. We have really good cases. Even if you just said, Rodger, you know, let's base cases just on the last 5 years of witness testimony. And of course, I would choose cases only that MUFON had thoroughly investigated and closed as an unknown. We just have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them. Really good cases. So I'm not really knocking the former shows. I think that a lot of people tried to get out there, you know, and tell the story. But this is really digging deep inside MUFON and trying to get the word out on you know, some very good cases sitting in our files.
One of the things that I've talked about a lot on this program, the reason why I got involved in Hangar 1 was when I sat down with Doug and Paul and had my meetings with them, and I sit down on and in talking to them, these are two guys that knew an awful lot about the subject. These guys were no jokes. And
this is not somebody that just walked in off the street and said, hey, I like this subject, I think I can sell it. You're right. These guys had done their homework.
When it was kind of funny because when we started the conversation, and I could tell as the meeting went on, that I was being challenged on my own knowledge too as well. In that usually I'm the smart guy in the room when it comes to ufology and history of UFOs. And I'm matching wits with two guys that I felt a little intimidated. And that's when I said, you know what? I'm in. You guys really care about what's going on. Did you get the same vibe?
Exactly the same vibe from the early development time. And like I said, you could definitely tell. I have a lot of production companies that call MUFON, and I'm the first call. And I could tell in the first meeting that they really don't know anything. All you have to do is name drop just a couple names.
Exactly.
And you can tell.
Yes.
If they don't know who Kenneth Arnold is or Betty and Barney Hill, you know.
Yeah, you can
it's a brand new subject for them.
Yeah, you can back off the gas pedal at that point. Yeah.
Exactly.
Now, I was on, I'm not going to say who, but I was on actually frequent this guy's site quite often, pretty famous, if not the king of skeptics out there. And I was reading his blog a couple of weeks ago, and he was very adamant about the facts of ufology and the amount of public out there that it has just degraded down to nothing, and that the UFO conferences aren't being attended now, that television ratings aren't there, and the website traffic is low, and the interest is just waning in the subject. And I'm reading, and I'm just wondering where he's getting his facts from, because from my side of the fence, I see everything not only being just fine, but growing. And the younger generation out there below me is right there and on point and on pitch, not only with their knowledge, but with their passion.
Right, because this new generation, unlike us, and I'm 58 years old,
right,
but they were inundated with this stuff, with television and the social media and everything. So they're getting a lot of this information, quicker and more of it than we did.
Yeah,
from the early days. So it's a whole different ball game right now, and I don't know who would be saying.
Exactly. And in my view, if the conference attendance is down, well, obviously he wasn't at CITD, Contact in the Desert, or the upcoming MUFON Symposium. I think the UFO Congress in Arizona went just fine. Now, but also the way to connect in years past was conferences. But now, like-minded people can connect on the internet, and they don't necessarily have to travel a few hundred miles to go to a big conference these days. You can find
exactly. And most of the big conferences, you could hear the speakers later, right on your computer.
Right. How is? Are you excited about the symposium? It's coming up. Man, I can't believe it now. It's. Are we 2 months away? Is it really? Let me think about this.
We're almost 3 months. Don't scare me.
Yeah, I know, right?
3 months away.
Well, July, August, September. Okay, September, 2.5. Yeah. Wow, we're right there.
Yeah, we're coming up on that, and Jan's very, very involved in that. In fact, I think they just announced the last speaker assignment there for it. That was just yesterday. That announcement came out.
I didn't see it. Who is it?
Hang on, I'll give you that in 1 second.
Okay, it's okay. It's okay. Just go to MUFON.com, MUFONsymposium.com too as well. Rodger, I wanted to ask you a couple of other questions. When it comes to sightings in MUFON, will you guys ever change the anonymity side of things and reveal who the sightings are coming from? And before you answer, the reason why I would like to know, because I read all of the reports when they break. You guys send them to me. It's great. but I'm not able to bring somebody on the show and ask them about the sightings. I don't have a way to contact anybody directly. Will that ever change for MUFON?
Yeah, that's a great question, because the way to get to a witness would be to call me. Anyone in the media can call me, and then we go in through the back door and we ask the witness if they would like to be contacted by media, radio, print, television, whatever. I would say that that's probably coming in the future, as more and more people are aware of where to report, and the number of reports on the increase, and just people becoming more and more knowledgeable. That would kind of put it in the same arena as filing a police report. If you file a police report, that's a public document. And of course, the reason why we don't give up the witness names in the beginning is simply because the witnesses don't want to be harassed by their neighbors and colleagues and friends and family. There's still that stigma that goes with UFO reporting that you're crazy. It gets better every year. Even the last 5 years, it's incredibly much more open and much more talked about in mainstream. But that stigma is still there, and I think we'll probably wait till we get to an era. I'm hoping that's within the next 5 years, that we just kind of flip the switch and we tell everybody, if you file, your name's going to be there.
When I talk about certain things on the show, I talk about the factual side of things, especially with my own experiences. And one of the things about UFO sightings, MUFON, and myself that is just confuses the crap out of me is this. I had my own experience here in the San Fernando Valley. My wife and I had a sighting that was huge, and about 10:25 at night. But anyway, the point is, this thing came out of the sky, and it came down, and it looked like it crashed in downtown Van Nuys. I was expecting some type of Armageddon nuclear type of explosion. It was that kind of thing, and it was just a flash, and it came down, and we saw where it did. Well, I immediately called Wolf McCarran, Wolf, and at MUFON, and I reported. And the crazy thing that he said back to me, now this is over the San Fernando Valley. I don't know how many millions of people live here, but this was right over downtown Van Nuys. And I called, and he said, nobody's. I said, that's impossible. He goes, Jimmy, I'm on the website right now. I've got nothing. I said, that's impossible. This is right over the valley. Now, this is my own experience, Rodger. I went back for about the next week until I got tired of doing this. I was checking the internet every day, latimes.com, kabc7.com. Right. I'm checking everything for any reports of it, and nothing. Nobody reported a thing. It wasn't on the news. It wasn't in the papers. It wasn't reported. Nobody called the police. There was nothing there at all. Am I the exception, or is that the rule?
No, you are not the exception. I just can't tell you how many times I've heard the exact same story, where somebody's in a very populated area. I mean, and you can imagine, even if you're in a city of 1 million people, think of how many people are inside, number one, or even the most of these objects are not making sound. So you could have 50 people standing in the middle of a street somewhere, and maybe there's one person standing at just the right angle who sees it. The other 49 people are oblivious to it, right, because it's not like some type of man-made object where it's going to make a sound.
And I'll take it one step further. Even though I called Wolf over at MUFON, and I actually made the effort to call in, I did not file a report. And I'm a victim just like everybody else, I guess. When you look at it like this, here I am.
Right, and then think of the number of people that probably did see it in a population area that big. There might have been 400 or 500 other people that saw it, And I would have to say that probably 90% of those people, 95%, did not know where to report.
And I did, and I didn't do it. So, so go figure. If you know what I mean? If I'm an example of how it actually goes down, and I'm just speaking on the factual side of things, this is my own experience.
Right.
I didn't follow through, and I couldn't expect anybody else to either.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing the television show is helping. It's helping to get the word out on MUFON that we are here. We're here 24/7, waiting to take the reports. And an interesting thing, I've been covering the incoming cases now for about 6 years. And again, it's another one of those situations where I can't tell you how many times I cover a case and somebody calls me or they, email me and say, hey, I had that same sighting, but I was at a different location 5 miles away. So they're doing the same thing you did. They're going to their computer and they're looking to see if anybody else saw the same thing.
Right.
And definitely when they connect, wow, it's not just me. I have a brother, in this sighting relationship, and 9 times out of 10, if that connection happens, they will also file. So it's great when MUFON gets multiple people filing on the same sighting, because then we've got an investigation that could look at it from different points of view. It's really neat when that happens.
Since you've been with MUFON, and again, I want to thank you for coming on the show. We're here at the end, but I gotta pick your brain on one thing. Since you've been with MUFON, have you had a sighting as an investigator?
Well, just one. Aside from, of course, I had that sighting, as I said, in 1973. But since I've been with MUFON, one night I did step out on my back deck, my back porch, and I was with one of my children, and he was facing me, and I looked up in the sky, and I saw this. It was like the size of the sun, I would say, and it was this like glowing green glob of light. And it was moving at an angle as though it were going to make impact. And I yelled to my son, look at this. And he looked. So he probably saw it for about 2 seconds. I probably saw it for about, maybe 3 seconds. And it kind of went at an angle. And again, I'm like you. I'm waiting to hear for an explosion.
Right.
That something's going to hit. Nothing happened. I filed the case report with Pennsylvania MUFON, and then later I waited, and I discovered that I'm doing this on memory, so forgive me if I'm a little off, but there was a elderly couple about 150 miles northeast of me in another section of rural Pennsylvania, and they reported the same thing, crossing the sky and making the arcing move within minutes of mine. So if you look at the time frame on my sighting, it obviously did not make impact with the Earth. It curved and turned and moved a different direction and went over the area where these people were.
See, now that is something that should be on Hangar 1. Right there. That's a perfect example. I agree with you.
Well, I have scarier cases, Jimmy.
Thank you so much, Rodger. And we'll see you at the MUFON Symposium. That's going to be great. And we're going to do a little, I'm sure you and Jan are talking about the little Hangar 1 meet and greet with cast and crew. And,
yeah, that's great.
That'll be Saturday night. I'll look forward to it, and we'll see you there. And for everybody that wants to go to the MUFON Symposium, just go to MUFONsymposium.com or MUFON.com, and all of the information is right there, tickets and hotels. Thank you, Rodger.
Jimmy, thanks for having me on. Appreciate it. Have a great show.
All the best. Thank you, Rodger. Rodger Marsh, everybody, Director of Communications over at MUFON. Let's take a quick break. When I come back after this short break, we'll be joined by Melissa Tittl, producer of Hangar 1. and other shows. This is Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Stay right there. This is our Hangar 1 special, part 2.
Way out here, we listen to Jimmy Church.
You're listening to Fade to Black.
Always on the edge of the hottest alternative talk. Jimmy Church with Fade to Black. KGRARadio.com.
Hey everybody, what's up? Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and check this out. The 2015 MUFON Symposium will be held this September 24th through the 27th in beautiful downtown Irvine, California. Expanding ufology, opening new doors in academia, industry, and media. Former Defense Minister of Canada Paul Hellyer will be there in person. Former CNN news anchor Cheryl Jones, TV news journalist Jaime Maussan, and MUFON's chief photo analyst Mark D'Antonio. They're just a few of the growing list of names for the 2015 event. It's September 24th through the 27th at the beautiful Hotel Irvine. Get your tickets today at MUFONsymposium.com. That's MUFONsymposium.com. Go Beckley Tepe.
¿Qué tal, mis amigos? Yo soy Mario Carson, el tiburón, y los invito para que escuchen a mi buen amigo Jimmy Church Radio. ¡Claro que sí!
Did you ever turn to your radio for your favorite talk show to find that it's been preempted for this?
In the air to deep right center. Back goes Lewis to the wall, and it's out of here!
Or this?
And I'm ashamed of you, Hillary, for voting for it.
Do you have a favorite talk radio program that's not available in your city? Just go to TalkStreamLive.com for links to the best streaming talk radio shows. At TalkStream Live, you will find live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All your favorites are here. With such a large selection, you will also discover some new favorites. On the go and still want to listen? With a mobile smartphone, simply type TalkStream Live on your internet browser. Now you can take internet radio with you. You will also find hundreds of music, news, and sports streams. Best of all, the TalkStream Live directory is free and there's never a login required. Remember TalkStreamLive.com, the fastest route between you and your favorite talk radio show.
You are listening to Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Network.
Oi, oi, I'm Reese Evans. You're listening to Jimmy Church. This is Revolution. The revolution will not be televised. The revolution is on radio. Ciao.
Welcome back, Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight is our Hangar 1 special part 2. Excited. Thank you, Rodger Marsh. Melissa Tittl is a filmmaker right here in Los Angeles, California, and for more than a decade, she has been involved in developing and producing motion pictures and television. Her particular expertise has been developed in creating narrative stories around nonfiction subjects, producing and writing TV shows for networks, including Travel, Discovery, and the History Channel, with shows like Ancient Aliens and The Universe. She has previously served as the assistant to the head of production at Paramount Studios, and she worked on such features as Star Trek, Cloverfield, and Mission Impossible 2. She is also releasing her first graphic novel called Sky Pilot this summer, and the cover of that is on JimmyChurchRadio.com. You can go click on it right there. It's on the homepage. She is also a member of the Producers Guild of America, Women in Film, and the International Documentary Association. She graduated with a degree in TV and film from the University of Wisconsin-Stevens Point, I would like to welcome to the program Melissa Tittl. Hi, Melissa. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I am fantastic, young lady, and and welcome to Fade to Black for the first time. And you know you're like the busiest woman in Hollywood. I know. I want to back up a couple of steps, and it seems like you're like the paranormal UFO producer. And was that by chance, or is this something that you've always been fascinated with?
No, that was strictly by chance. My first job when I left Paramount Studios was The Universe, like the first 2 seasons of The Universe on the History Channel, which is strictly, a NASA show, if you will. And then from there, I just started my career in that path. I just never left space.
It's a pretty cool little circle of people you've got yourself involved in. It's totally fun, isn't it?
Yeah, no, I totally enjoy it.
And your knowledge, did you have to go back and like follow, because as a producer you're dealing with talent, research, production, all of that. So do you find yourself researching ufology and the paranormal?
Of course. I mean, even when I'm not working for Hangar 1 or Ancient Aliens or any of the other shows that I've done, I'm always somehow in that topic because I've spent so much time doing research that there is stories that I come across that I don't get to air or, or don't get to put in my program that I find really interesting, and I just want to learn more about it. And those are like my little pet projects. And I find the whole area just so interesting because there is so many questions and not a lot of answers. And on top of it, there's so many other little stories that have not even been put on TV yet.
Yeah, totally. And here in Hollywood, and discussing this with you live on the air is really a funny subject, but it's really the truth. In Hollywood, it's really difficult to get a show on the air. That's the first hurdle. And then the second one is to have one actually last a season. That's tough, man. And when you go and you look at network television and how many comedies or dramedies or whatever, 2 shows canceled, right? And that's it. They don't finish out the season. And then, but to get to a second season, you're a success. And now when you look at some of the projects that you've been involved in, you've been hitting home runs. You're involved with these projects, Hangar 1, I'm assuming there will be a season 3. Ancient Aliens now is on season 150. And you know exactly where I'm going with this. That is a difficult hurdle here in Hollywood. How do you explain the success of Ancient Aliens and Hangar 1? The Universe did 2 seasons. How do you explain the success of this?
I just think it's the right time. I think people are actually really interested. And, Ancient Aliens, everybody is like, oh, that show's a little quirky, or people either love that show or they're like, I hate that show. There's never like an in-betweener on Ancient Aliens. But I think it's one of those shows that opens people's mind to think about things just differently. And it's accessible because, we put the word alien in there and people are like, oh, okay, I can wrap my head around this. And the same thing with Hangar 1. I just think it's a good time. I think people are really interested. They want to dive a little bit deeper. They want to figure it out. They want to be part of the process. They want to know things that they've never thought about before. And that's just being human. And I just think that finally networks are starting to air shows that, people get to investigate with instead of just the trashy reality shows.
What is, do you follow the ratings on like Ancient Aliens and Hangar 1? Do you have access to the actual ratings?
I hear about it through the grapevine. I don't have actual access to all of them. I get told if a show does better than the other. But
I'm just wondering who's got the higher ratings on Fridays. Is it Ancient Aliens or Hangar 1?
I don't know, and I feel like I'd be cheating on one of them. Don't make me do it. Don't make me do it, Jimmy Church.
Yeah,
don't make me.
I was trying. I gave it a shot. when you're on the set of Hangar 1, and I was there, I saw it firsthand, the passion that goes on there, from catering to makeup, sound, cameraman, everybody is into the subject. Everybody was asking me questions about their favorite cases. It was so funny. The sound guy that was on set with you and I, that when we were shooting, was quizzing me up and down about the UFO handbook from 1954. Hey Jimmy, what about page 88? What do you think about? I'm like, dude, are you serious about this? And he was straight facing me, Melissa. He was waiting for my answers, and I got that all over the set. And are you as impressed with that as I am? Is it over the top, or does it just make it freer? Everybody is on the same path, on set. It's just incredible.
Well, Jimmy, I don't think you understand, but we made all those people say those things to you just to make you nervous.
Oh, man.
No, I think like when people hear, and even if it's just, on set for a day or whatever, and they hear about the show, I think people are just excited to be part of it because, everybody's a really friendly bunch and everybody's really smart and people really get into it. And, I don't think there's any bad egg on our show. No. I mean, everybody was just like really excited to be there. And that doesn't really happen on every set, but for some reason, Hangar 1, everybody seemed to be a pretty cool bunch.
Yeah, and I think part of it is because the dedication from the top down, well, if it's there at the top, then everybody knows that, all bets are off. We can actually investigate and write correctly, shoot correctly, and go for the facts, and we don't have to sensationalize anything, and we're on a mission here. And that's the vibe that I got. And I don't want to run this in the ground. I'm saying that passion comes through every episode of Hangar 1. I get it, and I see it.
Well, that's good. That's good. I mean, you work on a show, and you don't know how people are going to perceive it, and that's really good that, I hear that a lot of people are liking the show, but I'm glad that you felt that we were professional and you feel that way when you watch the show, because that's all that really matters.
Were you involved in the writing at all?
Yes. I did 3 episodes. I wrote 3 episodes.
Which 3?
I did the UFOs and War. I did the crazy Mars Moon UFO episode.
Right.
And then I did the police officer, UFOs and police officers episode.
Those happen to be my 3 favorite. I wonder why. So, and I want to tell everybody really quick. I'll give them a little inside stuff, some behind the scenes action. Melissa, okay. So the set, they built a set. They built a recreation of my radio studio, which, by the way, was spot on the money. And so I'm in this little confined set, sealed up, hot. You remember that day? Remember how hot it was?
Yes, I remember.
I was sweating. And anyway, Melissa, so I've got 2 or 3 cameramen in front of me. I've got Doug, the producer, and I've got a sound guy, and all of it, that's going on in front of me. But off to my left in another area is Melissa. I don't know what's going on over there. I'm assuming that you have monitors. You can see what's going on. You can certainly hear what's going on. But this is how every take happened. For 8 hours. 8 hours we shot. We shot from 6 in the evening till 2 o'clock in the morning, right? 2:30 in the morning.
Yeah.
And after every take, I waited for Melissa to go, "That was good. We can move on." And that's it. That's how it happened. And it was you and I, and I never saw you. You were off on the other side. But that's how the show was shot. And it was you that just let everybody know. And it was like you were the last word. We never moved on. If we had to reshoot, it was you telling us, "Let's do it one more time." Are you?
I'm like the Wizard of Oz. I just yell things out from behind the screen.
And now I'm saying that for a couple of reasons. One, it's a little inside thing for people that have never been on a set to see things shot that way, number one. Number two, there's also a lot of pressure on your shoulders. How do you deal with that? Because it's you that is calling the shots at that moment.
I don't really think about it. I think I'm actually much better in stressful situations. If I have a lot of time to do something, that's actually more stressful for me. But if I have 2 seconds to make a decision, I'm actually really good in that situation. So I don't think about it. I like a high-stress environment.
Okay.
Totally fine with me.
Besides Mike Barra, who is your favorite person on Hangar 1? Who is the easiest? Who is the easiest to work with? Who is the easiest, the funnest to work with?
Well, I'd have to say there's this guy, and he's really nice, and he did really well on our show. I think his last name is Church.
Yeah,
Jimmy Church.
Stop. So, and I only ask because you're dealing with so many different personalities. Every type of researcher and author was on the show, and not only that, from the MUFON side too as well. And so you have to adapt to each situation and figure out the best way to get the best out of everybody that's on the show. And
right.
and that's your gig. And so from that take, was there somebody that was tough that you had to, and how do you do that? How do you get somebody to be comfortable and to get them to do their absolute best?
Well, I'm not going to name names because I don't think that's fair. And I think everyone on the show was absolutely wonderful. Everybody's just got their thing, But I think to make people comfortable, you've got to really talk to them at their level. What is it that they feel comfortable saying or doing? And I always think that being a successful producer, and especially in the interview space, is that you're never going to you never feel like you're pressuring them to say a certain thing. You just make them comfortable. If that's what you want to talk about, then let's do it. And sometimes you ask deeper questions and you try to get into it a little bit more. But you want to create a safe space in which they feel that they can express themselves and they're not being set up or told to say things that they didn't want to say or it's scripted or something like that. I mean, I don't think I've ever done that in any of the interviews, any kind of show that I've done. I've always created a space in which I'd like to go a little bit further. Is that something you feel comfortable with? And usually I've never not had a moment when people have been able to express themselves and really get into the story.
And you could tell when you're watching the show, it seems like it was all captured the correct way. And I mean it. I mean it. It just seems like everything is just right, spot on the money, and nobody was uncomfortable because for some of it is really emotional, and Clifford Stone, very emotional moments there that were captured on Hangar 1, and so it was really cool. Let's back up and talk about your new graphic novel, Sky Pilot. I want to talk about that for a second. When I first saw the cover, I said, "This is spot on the money." I don't even know what it's about. Well, the cover says what it's about, but I haven't read it yet. What's it about?
So ever since I was younger, I've always been fascinated with the 60s. And I think that time period, I wasn't alive at that time period, but I've always been fascinated with it because it seemed like the 1950s were going along and everybody was living their life. And then the 1960s happened and everybody had all these questions. And people just started thinking on their own. They just started saying, that's not right. I don't like that. That's not what I want to do. They started kind of investigating the government. They started really looking into UFOs. They started really questioning their race, their religion, these rules that are instated by the government. And I find it just happened. It just kind of happened, and I think it's human evolution. And I also became really fascinated with the Vietnam War because it's a war that people are very touchy about, and I've always wanted to do a project on the Vietnam War. But, it's really hard to greenlight those things in Hollywood because it's a sensitive subject. And people, I think, it's not like World War II where everybody feels good about it. They don't know how to feel about it. Everybody's still kind of uncomfortable with it because, it just seems a little gray. So I took this opportunity to kind of open up that genre and tell the story of kind of human evolution through the 60s, and it turned into a graphic novel. And it's focused in the Vietnam War. But it's a graphic novel, so, you know, I added aliens and UFOs and hot chicks and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Hot Vietnam women combat reporters. Just to kind of get my point across that it was a time period where a lot of things started to really, really change and people started to think on their own. And of course I have this theory based on some research I've done, but, you know, it's a graphic novel, so it's fun. It's a fun read.
With Hollywood, and it seems like there's a message that that is a constant out of Hollywood. Aliens. It doesn't matter if it's Star Trek or if it's the Avengers. You know, it's like pick the Transformers. Pick a movie, and it's us against the aliens. You know, and they're coming to invade. And in our little circle, it seems like there's a message there that is being sent out to the masses, that this is something to expect. Is there a vibe in Hollywood that they are prepping us for this? Is there an undercurrent there? And do you think that there's any influence coming out of Washington, D.C. to produce these films? They all make money. They all do good at the box office. It's usually a no-brainer as far as getting your investment back. But do you think there's an influence from somewhere else to constantly produce these types of films all summer long, all winter long?
Yes and no. So I think that across all media, you know, not just film, not just stuff that's coming out of Hollywood, they've been really for the last 6 years pressing just the alien thing, like, and the thing is that when networks make decisions, because I'm in the TV world now, but when networks make decisions to greenlight a show, you know, I don't know how they do it, to be honest with you. I don't know the inner workings of any network. I feel like it's just like a lottery pick, but it's just, they just decided that we're going to do as many UFO and alien shows in the last 6 or 7 years, and it's the same thing with film. And so, yes, I do think there's an agenda. But I can't really say what that is. I just, I think that there's like 7 or 8 people in the world that decide what we watch and what we see for news. And I never really read one publication or read into one thing. I look at everything. Like, what are they really trying to tell us? Where are they trying to push the cattle? So I just think everybody needs to educate themselves. You know, do they think aliens are bad? Do they think aliens are good? Do they believe in all of this stuff? I think it's just easy. You just need to open up and like look at everything. But I think it is popular. I think people are ready. I think people want to know what's out there. You know, people are getting antsy. The world is getting smaller. It's not like this big open thing anymore. Like the only thing that's open is space, the final frontier. I think people want to know, and they're just going to keep creating what they think is out there until they find something.
Have you ever had a sighting yourself?
No, I've never had a sighting. But I wish I had. I've never had one. I'm like the only one in this field who's not had a sighting.
And how is your family with this? It's one thing to be a producer in Hollywood, but the producer of Ancient Aliens and Hangar 1. Do you talk about this with your family, and how are they on this subject?
My parents are pretty open. I mean, they've always been pretty open about everything. I think they want us to be well-educated people, and they enjoy the programs that I do. I think, their parents live in the Midwest, and they're just happy that their daughter's doing something in Hollywood. They're proud of me. They're good parents. When
the subject of aliens come up, do they, or do, what I mean? At Thanksgiving dinner, does anybody make the wisecracks? Have you seen an alien lately? Or do they talk to you about sightings that they've had? Because now you're the point person.
Actually, that's exactly what happens. My dad, last time I was home, my dad told me that 2 weeks before he was born on Larson Air Force Base in Washington, there was a UFO sighting on the base, and he said that my grandparents were they were a little agitated. They weren't sure what was happening. There was this UFO was hovering over the base, and of course all these airmen reported it, and it was a big thing. And of course he had never told me that story, but now that I'm, doing the show, he's like, hey, I got a story for you.
It's funny how that happens, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're suddenly the UFO contact, and everybody's got a story now, and it's really funny, and you can't avoid it, and you're now that person. And I know, I know, but it's okay. But that's what I mean. There's so many stories. Like when the certain cases that always are on TV are the ones that have so many levels, so that we can keep telling the story. But there's just so many little stories, and you got to ask yourself, even if you don't believe it's even happening, if all these stories aren't true, I always think that. No matter how crazy the story is, there's always a grain of truth in there somewhere. You just have to figure out, which one it is, or which little grain of truth it is. But there's definitely a connection there. I'm not one of those people that is looking and hoping that I'm going to see one type of thing, but I'm really fascinated with it. And I think that because of all the cases, there's definitely something out there and something is happening. Is there going to be a season 3, Hangar 1? And when are we going to find out?
I don't have those answers. I hope so. I hope so soon. And I'm sure that within the next couple of months we'll have an answer if there'll be a season 3.
It's such a cool show, and I'm just so proud to be a part of it. And the next the other thing is with Ancient Aliens, how long do you think that can continue with any series? It doesn't matter if it's Seinfeld. Or, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I can't believe they're still going. I mean, there's only so many ancient places in the world, but I guess they keep coming up with new angles. I mean, I'm not on that show anymore, so I don't know. I guess there's just, I don't know what else they can keep talking about. I mean, there's only a couple ancient places throughout the world.
And this season, to me, was one of the best. When you think they can't keep kicking this horse, this season was actually a great season. And I've watched all the episodes. I thought it was really, really, really good. And now they're shooting another season. I mean, I'm proud. I'm happy for everybody there. I'm just shocked that something like this could continue for now. We're going to push a decade here in another season. It's hard to believe. It's shocking to me. I remember.
Well, yeah, okay, go ahead. Sorry.
Well, I was going to say I remember the first episode of the first season when I saw it. I was like, "This is for me. I can't believe this is finally being made." But I had no idea that here we would be, 7 years, 8 years later, still talking about the next season of Hangar 1.
Right. I mean, I think there's a lot more stuff coming out there. I think that, I just look at the shows, just to go a little bit further into a different space, but I see that there's shows about people that are psychic, who have abilities, kind of superhuman abilities. Those shows could never be greenlit 5 years ago. Nobody wanted to see that stuff.
Right.
And it's now, because everybody wants things that are tangible, because those are things you can base facts on. But we're getting to a space now where people want to learn so fast that they're okay knowing that things aren't tangible, which is definitely a step forward in just kind of understanding your own space, your own universe.
I want to thank you for coming on the show. What are you doing now? Can you talk about the shows that you have in production, or is all of that just that typical Hollywood, I can't talk about it stuff?
I can talk about my side project. Well, about my graphic novel. It's not done yet. Should be this summer. But yes, currently I'm working for a Netflix docuseries with Chelsea Handler. And it has nothing to do with space, but it's actually a really good piece. We cover some really big topics, and it's done. She's a funny girl, but the topics are really serious, and we're doing some really crazy things. And I think it really kind of tackles the race issues, marriage, drugs, technology. So it's a cool show because we're really pushing the boundaries, and we can because it's Netflix. We can do whatever we want.
Yeah, exactly. That was something I felt like she was very funny, but I felt like she was always holding back, language and otherwise. So there you go. Hey, Melissa, thank you so much for coming on the show. I can't wait to see you again. Behave and just do well. Thank you so much.
I will never behave.
Melissa Tittl, everybody. Thank you, Melissa.
All right, thank you. Have a good night.
You too. Melissa Tittl, everybody. All right, let's head to a break. When I come back, we will be joined by the face of Hangar 1, Dwight Equitz, will be with us. This is Fade to Black, bespoke radio for the masses. I'll be back right after this. Stay with us.
KGRA Radio. Intelligent talk.
Are you a paranormal investigator, ghost hunter, or UFO skywatcher? If so, FNGinnovations.com has the product you definitely need in your investigations kit or go bag. Introducing the Morpholite Wide Beam Tactical Flashlights that put the light where you need it most. Traditional flashlights shine a focused round beam with limited line of sight in the dark. Morpholite Tactical Flashlights change all that, utilizing a revolutionary wide beam design to enable you to see safety hazards such as hanging wires and steel, pipes, and holes in the floor you just can't see with a focused round beam. In the field, where safety is paramount, a 180-degree beam increases orientation and peripheral vision in the dark. Morpholite flashlights are ideal for investigations in abandoned facilities such as houses and hospitals, factories, caves, and tunnels. Avoid those low-hanging tree branches that poke your eyes in the woods. Visit FNGinnovations.com to see a full line of tactical lights and accessories. That's FNGinnovations.com.
Now you can find all your favorite talk radio shows live, all in one place at TalkStreamLive.com. Listen from anywhere, office, home, or in your car. Just go to TalkStreamLive.com and click on one of the many live talk show hosts you want to listen to. It's free and easy. No computer? Download the smartphone apps. Never miss your favorite talk show. Find them all at TalkStreamLive.com.
Hey, everybody, what's up? Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and check this out. The 2015 MUFON Symposium will be held this September 24th through the 27th in beautiful downtown Irvine, California. Expanding ufology, opening new doors in academia, industry, and media. Former Defense Minister of Canada Paul Hellyer will be there in person. Former CNN news anchor Cheryl Jones, TV news journalist Jaime Maussan, and MUFON's chief photo analyst, Mark D'Antonio. They're just a few of the growing list of names for the 2015 event. It's September 24th through the 27th at the beautiful Hotel Irvine. Get your tickets today at MUFONSymposium.com. That's MUFONSymposium.com. Go Beckley Teppy.
You want to know a secret? I love ponies. I really love ponies. I'm serious. I couldn't stay sane without ponies to brush.
Why fade to black? Because you never got that pony, damn it.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
Yeah, this is Fade to Black. Tonight, our Hangar 1 special. Thank you, Melissa Tittl. Thank you, Rodger Marsh. Next up, the face of Hangar 1, whether he wants to admit it or not, is Dwight Equitz. Next up, he has been interested in the UFO subject since a sighting as a child caused him to understand that there is something out there. His talents in teaching and presentation recently came together with his love of UFOs when a friend approached him with an interesting idea for a change in careers. Aligning his lifelong pursuit of the UFO phenomenon and his developed ability of storytelling, Dwight feels very fortunate by the series of events that landed him to the MUFON and Hangar 1. I would like to welcome to the program Dwight Equitz. Dwight, how are you tonight, sir?
I'm so excited. This is fantastic, man. I'm really excited. I'm very well. Thank you for having me on your show, and hello to the crew, the Sandbox, the Fader Knots. Is that right?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. I'm officially in the room. There we go.
Oh man, whether you like it or not, you're part of the family now.
I am. I put something on Twitter, and all of a sudden I get all this stuff with Jimmy Church, Fader Knots, all kinds of junk, man. So I'm happy to be here.
You know, Dwight, first off, and I'm going to throw you under the bus a little bit. You know,
thank you.
You and I both know I've been trying to get you on the show for a long, long time. And so I thought the only way to get Dwight on the show is if I just do a Hangar 1 special. Then he has to do the show. And that's
it. You did all of this just to get me on the show. That's it.
You had no choice.
Yeah.
You know. So, hey Dwight. Listen. On a serious note, you by default, you're the face of Hangar 1. You've been doing it now. This is your second season. And do you feel is it a life-changing thing? Do you feel the pressure? Can you go shopping? Can you go to Starbucks? What's that like for you now?
You know what? My son asked me last year. He said, "Dad, are you going to be rich and famous?" And I said, "Well, no, pal. No, I'm not." I said, "Here's the deal." I said, "Here's how we can tell if I'm rich and famous." I say, "If the day comes when we can throw a dart at a map of the United States, and we can pay for a couple of tickets to go anywhere at any time, any place that dart hits, that'd be rich. And then if we get off a plane and within 25, 30 minutes or so somebody recognizes me, I suppose that would be famous. If that day happens, we'll count that as rich and famous. But that's not the goal. That'd be a fun side benefit of this. No, you know what? To be honest with you, yes. Actually, it's so cool. I'm nobody, man. I am absolutely nobody. And a few months ago, this is before season 2 started, I walked in. My dog was sick, and I took the dog to the vet down the street, from where we live up here. And I walked to the door, and this guy's sitting on a bench there inside the vet, and he looks up at me, and his face goes all slack. He goes, "Are you the guy from the UFO show?" I'm like, "Yeah. I am." He goes, "Oh man, I was just watching it. I love that show." I'm like, "How cool is that?" And I shake his hand and we talk for a few minutes, So that's actually happened twice. A girl at the grocery store we go to around the corner, she ran up after season 1 started. She goes, "Are UFOs really real?" I'm like, "Yeah, you watch the show." She goes, "Yes, I do. I watch it all the time." And so it was cool, but that's it. It's not like anybody else. Nobody accosts me on the street and says, "You're the guy on that show."
Yeah.
No, my brother's a teacher. He's had a couple of his students say something. One of my another brother. I've got a bunch of brothers. Another one works for the city of Orange, and somebody approached him. "Do you have a brother?" And so that's happened a couple of times. But no, I'm still just the guy.
It only happened to me once, and it was last month. I'm flying back from Florida. And I had a bunch of canceled flights in a row. And I did one of those 24-hour across the United States adventures, visiting every airport. and I'm stuck in Houston. I think it was in Houston. And we got on the plane and then had to deplane. There was a problem with the flaps. So they take it. And this was the second plane that day. And now I'm about 12 hours into this, and I'm pretty tired. I'm pretty exhausted. And I'm standing out, and these two pilots come up because they bring up another plane. And these are the two new pilots for the new, what do they call it? The equipment, right? And so they come up, and they put down their luggage. And I just turn to the guy, and the little pilot turns to me, and he goes, "Dude, Hangar 1." And I was like, no, not now. Seriously, I'm not in the mood, man, and it was really funny how this pilot, who turned out to be a total skeptic guy, actually, it was kind of funny, but that was it for me, but it was the pilot.
But he watched
Yeah.
But he watches the show.
And he said that he has never had a sighting.
Well, that's okay. That's okay. The skeptics, I see in my mind. I see in my mind the different types of audiences that the show has, and I talk to a lot of these people, my family and different folks, and even the skeptics watch the show. It's really good. We just had Melissa on, and the people who create the show have really done a great job. It's just so cool, and I've never done anything like this. I really am just a guy, and to have people contacting me on Facebook, and we have, certainly with the reruns of last season, I mean, on H2, it was Ancient Aliens and Hangar 1 all the time on those channels. And we have viewers on every continent on the planet, except for Antarctica, unless somebody was watching it, on a phone down there. And people contact me from all over the world. It is the most amazing thing. And I'm so excited to be a part of what I think, I think it's great. I think it's a really cool thing. So thank you. Hello.
Well, yeah, let's talk about this sighting that you had as a child. And then I want to talk to you about how you got involved with the show. So what happened when you were a kid? And tell me about that.
Well, I'll tell you, it was almost like a textbook sighting. I must have been 9 or 10 years old. I don't really remember exactly how old I was. And I was going with my father to Lake Powell. And so we're going to do water skiing or whatever. And in the middle of the night, we were near Flagstaff, Arizona. It was like out in the middle of nowhere, Arizona. But Flagstaff, Arizona, gas station, pit stop type thing. And I'm in the camper, and I look out the window of the camper, and over there, and I don't really even know. Of course, I was a kid. I can't. Now I'd be able to judge a little bit better the distance, but in my mind, I see it as, and I would say the middle distance. It wasn't too far away. It wasn't really close. It might have been a few blocks away. If I said it today, I'd say it was over there, about a few blocks away. And there was this cluster of lights, and I think if I say the story now, people kind of look at me and they kind of give you the shrugging, like, yeah, you're out of your mind look, because that's a helicopter. But we're talking, I'm 55 years old this year. And so it was 45 years ago. So it was a long time ago. And there was this cluster of lights, and it's multicolored lights, not just what you would normally see with, a helicopter, an airplane or something. And it was different colors, and they were sort of flashing on and off, sort of this, like a cluster of grapes, right? And this thing is there, and the interesting thing about it was, well, first of all, there was no noise. And, so there again, textbook, there was no noise. And this small cluster of lights was moving horizontally. And even if it was a helicopter, helicopters, they're going to have a little bit of a swooping action to it, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, unstable.
And this thing just moved horizontally. And then, again, it's like I was watching a movie. This beam of light, this, what we would say today, was a helicopter with a searchlight. But no, it was razor sharp, bound to the ground. If it made a sound effect, that's the sound it would make, that brrr sound effect. And it shined straight. It must have been a few hundred feet off the ground, and it shined straight down at the ground. And again, if this was a helicopter, it would have that wiggling back and forth. I mean, up here in Pasadena where I live, the helicopters come over every once in a while, and they're looking for something, right? Well, this thing, it was stationary, and then it moved again horizontally. It didn't wobble. And so it moved horizontally for a few seconds, and the light goes out, and then this cluster of lights just goes bam. And about a 45-degree angle, it just went zip, and it wasn't like it as fast. Sorry, it's radio. I'm making sound effects. It wasn't as if it went, like the faster speed of the light. It didn't zip out, but it went really fast, and it's faster than a helicopter would go. And again, not as smooth and swooping as a helicopter. It just went just like that, and then it was gone. It lasted several seconds, and pretty much, that much time. Saw the light, the beam came down, moved horizontally, and then it took off. And that was it. And you know what? You said something just a little while ago. You were talking. I did. I listened to your show, and how people are stunned, and that even today sometimes they don't take out their phones because they're just sort of like, "Wow, did I see that?"
Right.
And I didn't tell my dad. I didn't tell my brother. I just sort of like, "Wow," And so I thought about it for many years, and And that was the day. If I look back in time, that was the day that, like I said, and you read it just there, that there's something else out there. There's something else going on. And I've always been, since then, I was always the guy that, in my family, they would always come to me. Well, Dwight, what's the latest weird thing you're talking about? Oh, the giant squid. And that's really where it started for me.
You described, and I want to try to picture this a bit better in my mind's eye. I heard you say cluster of grapes. So was it like was it 20 or 30 lights? Was it like that?
No, I say it like that because it wasn't like an exact circle. It's more like it would be. I hold my hand up. It'd be more like 5 or 6.
Right.
Does that make sense? But it was, again, it was lights in a group. It's if you took a string of Christmas lights, and that's what they look like when they come out of my basement, and they're all sort of jumbled together. Yeah. If there were only 5 or 6 of them in there, that's what it looked like.
And, yeah, that doesn't sound like anything. Now that you look back, and you have hindsight, right? What did you think you saw? Was it us or them?
Oh, well, again, if it happened today, it's a helicopter, it's a drone, it's something like that. I can't hear it. Well, it's far away and it's small, it's a drone. And people would just poo-poo and you're done. This would be, 1968, 69, 70, somewhere around there. Mm-hmm. And the technology that we had, the Huey helicopters that helped us in Vietnam. I mean, there was some sound, right? And they were huge. It wasn't like we had high-tech helicopters back then.
That's right.
This was not a helicopter. It was something else. It was certainly no technology that we had at the time, that we just didn't have that available. We, as in we, the United States, we Earthlings, I suppose, if you want to say it that way. Right. No, it was something else, man. I absolutely do. And space is big. The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy says space is big. Really big. Space is big, man, and there's a lot of stuff out there, and I have no doubt in my mind that this thing, whatever it was not something that originated here originally.
When you said that you had finally, years later, started talking about it, did you mention it to your family, and did you ask if they saw anything that night over by Lake Powell?
No, I was the only one. Yeah, Flagstaff. I was the only one. And you know what? I grew up, I was a weird kid, okay? So anybody who knows me, who's listening right now, I admit, yes, I was a weird kid. And so I was the weird kid. I would know stuff like that. I mean, I would see stuff like, no, I didn't see stuff like that, but it wouldn't be surprising if I did, to put it that way. Yeah.
And
so no, I didn't.
So this started your fascination with UFO research, and as you started to do that, again, did you talk to people about it, or was this something that you kept to yourself?
Oh no, I was always the one. In fact, when I met Doug and Paul, the producers of the show, you mentioned it a little while ago. When I sat down for the face-to-face finally, and I said, "Okay, we're done," and I started walking out, and they're like, "What?" I said, "We're done, man." I said, I'm the guy you're looking for. You've been looking for me. It's me. You're not going to find another person who is as passionate about this subject, who wants to talk about it as much as I do. And I said, you can talk to anybody I know. You put 100 people I know, if I could find 100 people that I know, and put them in one room, and then start describing the person you're looking for, passionate about UFOs, likes things that are sort of out of the ordinary, tells a good story. They're all going to turn around and start pointing at me. That's me. So, yeah, I was always the one who was interested in stuff that's out there. Bigfoot, talk about Bigfoot. Yeah, man, my brother Don, I would talk about the giant squid. Don, there's this thing called the giant squid. He's like, no way. Look at me, give me that, that stink eye look, like,
right,
give me a break.
Right.
Well, of course, now we have video of the stinking giant squid. I mean, it's right there. So I was right.
What's your we're going to be up against a break in a few minutes. What's your favorite? What's the one case that you want solved that you always go back to? I have mine. I have a couple that I wish I could solve and go back in time. For me, it's Rex Heflin, Santa Ana. That case resonates with me to my very core. What's that case for you?
Do you want me to tell you right now, or wait until after the break?
No, right now.
Because I have an answer. No, it's shortly after I had this event happen to me, I watched on television, a documentary about Barney and Betty Hill.
Yes.
And it scared the crap out of me, man. I was petrified, but it was one of those things I cannot turn this television off. And the more I heard about that, the more I trembled with fear. And then I watched, and if I could go back in time in any UFO story, if I could go back in time and be there when that happened, when they got hit, when they lost their time, and then as the investigation continued through, that's the one that really locked me in. And then, of course, all the famous ones everybody's heard about, and the Rebels from the Forest and blah, 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 and all those. But that is the one that, I'll tell you one other thing I'd like to do.
What's that?
That's the one I'd like to see. I'd like to see happen in real time. Betty and Barney Hill, Barney and Betty. But I'm ready right now to go on a research journey into the channel here at Catalina and the Channel Islands, and to see what's going on underneath the water out there. That's something else I'd like to investigate.
Yeah, man. The Malibu underwater base. That's
I am ready right now. They would not have to ask me twice. I talked to Paul and Doug about it. I said, "Look, man, come on."
Yeah, I know.
I said, you won't be able to get the question out of your mouth, and I'm going to go, "Yes, put me on a boat. Let's go."
Yeah, that was the first thing that Paul and Doug asked me about. How we made the discovery and how all the information came and where I was with it. And so, you know what, we can't. Yeah, let's stay off of that subject right now. I'm venturing into something that we really can't talk about at this moment. But yeah,
I'm not going to talk about what? Yeah, what did you say? I don't know.
But Betty and Barney Hill. Now check this out. This is funny. I know approximately where you live out in Pasadena. Now, the Betty and Barney Hill, An Interrupted Journey. That book I found when I first moved to California, and I'm going to tell you where the house is, and you'll know exactly where it is, on Lake Avenue. Up at the top, almost in Altadena, where the big church is, the Westminster Church, right? Which is on Elizabeth and Lake Avenue. I lived 2 houses south of the church on Lake Avenue. Okay, so now
get out of town.
Yeah, right across the street from the Altadena Dairy. Okay, now you know exactly where I'm talking about when you're. Everybody.
We had Cub Scout meetings there at the Westminster Church.
Yes.
And that's where I led the Cub Scouts. You bet. I know exactly where you're talking about.
Right. So 2 houses south of the church, right there, I went and rented that house, that very house. So I'm walking through the house the first night that I'm there, and I go into one of the empty bedrooms, and it was empty. And on the shelf in the bedroom that was facing the front of the house that was facing Lake Avenue, I see these 2 books on the shelf, Dwight. One of them was The Andreessen Affair by Raymond Fowler, and the other one, An Interrupted Journey. And I pulled it down, and that was 1983, 1984, something like that. And I pulled it down, and I read it cover to cover. And now, talk about petrified. That book scared the crap out of me.
Oh, my gosh, yeah. See, that was it. I was just done. I was, and that was at a time in my life where, I couldn't watch Night Gallery on TV. I would scare the crap out of me. Oh! But I watched that documentary from start to finish, and, oh, man. Barney and Betty Hill.
Yeah,
yep, that's my deal.
And I was able to a couple of times. I have met with and had her on the show, Kathleen Martin, and that whole case, man. There's something about that case that tells me it happened exactly as they say that it did, and that's the part that scares the crap out of me. I think it happened exactly as they detailed it.
Well, you're preaching to the choir. Sign me up. I am totally with you. Let's go.
Oh, and so now let's I want to talk about, and we'll finish up after the break, but we'll start here. How did you? Who was the friend that approached you with this interesting idea, and how did you get hooked up with Hangar 1?
Well, I'll tell you what, and thank you very much for asking. Like I said, in fact, I mentioned the Cub Scouts. I'm a Boy Scout leader, and I was the Scoutmaster for several years for our troop out here. And it's a big old troop. We got 69, 70 boys at the time. And so one of the guys, John is his name, I knew he was in television. I didn't know exactly what he did, but I knew he was in television. And so we're on a camp out. In fact, you're from the area. You probably know where Henniger Flats is up here above Eaton Canyon. Do you know those names?
Love Henniger Flats. Oh, are you kidding?
Well, we take that's a good place to go for a first-time backpacking trip. And so, we took a bunch of guys up there, and we did the backpacking thing. And the boys are playing some game. I don't know, some heads down, murder game. I don't know what the heck it is. And I'm just yakking with the boys. And I was good at scoutmastering because one reason was because I can tell good stories, and teaching and everything. That's what I do. Anyway, so I'm there working with the guys, and John walks over to me and he goes, "You know what, Dwight?" I'm like, "What?" He says, "We got to find a way to get you on TV." I'm like, "Okay, Sparky, what do I do next? Let's go, man. Sign me up. I'm ready to what do I do?" He says, "Well, let's talk. We'll have coffee." I'm like, "All right." Well, come to find out, this guy is, at the time, he was a producer for a major reality show. And I can't give you his name, and I'm not going to really call them details about that, but just picture the #1 reality show ever. And this guy was the producer for the show. Like, okay. So we had lunch. And, if you give me something like that, if you say, "Hey, let's talk," I'm going to talk. I'm going to call you. I'm going to follow up on that because, my wife and I own a business together, and business has been doing so great, and I'd love to find a way to, do something else. And so followed up with him and, chased him down, and he, set me up with a couple of meetings, and I met a few guys and started down that path. Now, I have all my life, I've done, I had a presentation, and I do a lot of master of ceremonies work. And when I was a kid, okay, Southern California, a lot of people do a lot of acting and stuff. And I did some stage stuff in high school and blah, blah, blah. But never really anything serious. And so I met some people and did some stuff and started to have a little bit of very minor, insignificant success. But still got my feet wet and learned how the process works. And then I heard through, the grapevine, I checked some sites and stuff, that there was a show that was looking for a researcher in the field. It was kind of vague, but someone who could teach. And I'm like, well, that's me. I could do that. And so I submitted myself for this show. Come to find out, it's about UFOs. They got back to me. It's about UFOs. I think, are you kidding me? It's like I was made for this. I called my brother Dale. Like I said, I got a bunch of brothers. I said, "Dale, there's a show. It's about UFOs. He said, "It's you. You're totally going to do it." I'm like, "Yeah, man." So I sent in a video of me talking, telling a story, and the first time they rejected me. It's kind of funny. The guys from the production company, they got back to me. They said they really didn't like it because you're trying to be too much of a professor. Teach like, can you talk like you're around a campfire?
Yeah.
Campfire, that's what I do, man. And so I redid it, and it was actually the story that I told was about Phil Schneider, right? Phil Schneider, the underground base, Dulce, New Mexico, and all that.
Right.
And so they sent me an email. The guy says, "Okay, we want to see you face to face." Okay. So I was scared to death, man. It's like, holy cow. My wife's all giving me "You can do it, man. It's going to be great." Okay, so I go in, and the guy from the production company comes back to me, and he says, "Now, kind of a small room back there, and the two producers are there, and you're going to talk to them and tell a story. Can you tell a story? Can you tell a story like you're talking to a group, like you're telling a campfire story?" I'm like,
It's what I do.
That's what I do.
Right.
It's like, I was built for this, man. So I go back and sit down, and I said, "It's Paul and Doug, right? You know Paul and Doug." And I said, "Hi, how you doing?" And I already told you. I got up and I started walking out. "What are you doing?" "Well, I'm the guy you're looking for." So all of that to say that I guess I did okay. And the thing is that I've been preparing for this, almost my whole life. It really is. You have to see the convergence of events. I've been learning about UFOs and things out of the ordinary my whole life. That's what I do. And I've been practicing how to talk to people, how to tell stories. I remember learning as a little kid, going to the library. I grew up in Yorba Linda. And going to the library, and there was someone there at the library as a little kid teaching people how to tell stories. And I remember being just fascinated with that the process of getting attention. And then I've been, for the last few years, I read news and information for this app. And I've been recording articles and broadcasting. 7 million times people have listened to these articles all over the world. And I just enjoy telling the story. And so that happened. And then this UFO thing comes along, and it's just like everything kind of happens at just the right time and comes together, where I get to take this thing that I've been doing and talk about a subject that I love. And Jimmy, it's just, well, you've got a flavor of it more than I do, that people like it. You know, I get these messages on Twitter and on my Facebook, these people from all over the place, that they like the show so much. They like what I do. And I just got to tell you, I know it sounds kind of mushy and gooey, and I apologize for getting emotional about it, but it's such a big deal. I know that people have a choice. They don't have to watch the show, or they can, they can hate me. It's just so funny. They don't. Right. And the majority of the people, they like it. It's like, I can't explain.
Yeah.
You know what?
Let's.
I can't just do.
Hold on. Let's take a break right there. It's a good spot to take a break. And when we come back, tonight is our Hangar 1 special, part 2, here on Fade to Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. We have Dwight Equitz with us. He is the face of Hangar 1 by default. More with Dwight Equitz when we come back. This is Fade to Black, the spoke radio for the masses on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. We'll be back in 2. Stay with us.
This is Fade to Black with Jimmy Church on the Game Changer Radio Network and KGRA, the Global Radio Alliance.
The station that talks the net. KGRA Radio.
Hi, this is Jimmy Church of Fade to Black. Today, everybody, the Fadernauts and planet Earth is vaping, and I'm very proud to announce our very own e-juice. When we were approached by City of Angels Vapor about Fade to Black e-juice, I wanted to make sure that it was the very best, and that the flavors were something that I could create myself, and we did just that. Introducing Fade to Black Fader Loops. This will take you right back to Saturday morning cartoons and your favorite bowl of fruity, loopy cereal. Just click on the banner or go to www.coavapor.com. Enter the promo code Jimmy for the Fader Not special. That's www.coavapor.com. Go back, Lee Tappy.
Imagine no longer being tied down to your computer, but having the freedom to take live talk radio with you anywhere you go. TalkStream Live introduces our first ever iPhone application. The talk shows you follow now follow you, and your iPhone is now the fastest and easiest way to stay connected to the best talk radio on the internet. Let TalkStream Live transform the way you listen to radio. Listen to live talk shows 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Mobile talk radio from TalkStream Live. Now available in the iTunes App Store.
This is Toby Kebbell. You're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com. Don't hurt me, Jimmy. I'm only little.
Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And this is Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. Well, we are of the Honey Brothers. Hey, I'm Adrian Grenier. And I'm Ari Gold. We're the Honey Brothers. And you're listening to Jimmy Church. The Revolution.
Attention, all Fadernauts. Studio Dome has a special deal on their SD1 Bluetooth speaker. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on their banner, enter the promo code Jimmy, and you get $40 off and free shipping on the SD1. It's voice activated, comes with a USB antenna, cables, and a carry bag. Never listen to your phone, tablet, or laptop speakers ever again. It's the only way to listen to Fade to Black. That's jimmychurchradio.com, Studio Dome banner, promo code Jimmy. Go back, Lee Tappy. All right, everybody, welcome back. This is Fade to Black. This is part 2 of our Hangar 1 special. Tonight, We had Rodger Marsh of MUFON, Director of Communications. We had producer Melissa Tittl with us, and now Dwight Equitz, who is, by default, Dwight, you are the face of Hangar One.
Well, you got to stop saying that.
Hey, man, it's pressure, man.
You know what I say to that? I say, go Beckley Tepley. That's what I say.
That's what I'm talking about.
Hey,
yes,
Jimmy,
sir.
besides reminding you that I am not that, it's like I am so not that. Is it okay if I say hi to a couple of people real quick?
Sure, yeah,
it's
shout
take
it out.
5 seconds. First of all, my son Jason might be listening. He's at somebody's house jamming and they're doing guitars or something, but he might be listening. So if he is listening, hi, Jason. And also I want to say hi to Luisa Patron. I'm going to guess that's how you say her last name, Luisa Patron, who is like major Twitter follower for Hangar One, and she's just very kind. She says very kind things, and thank you for watching the show.
Any relation to Tequila? Do we know this?
No.
Okay.
I don't.
All
but
right.
speaking of alcohol, there is a Hangar One vodka.
Yes. There's a Hangar One vodka. Somebody emailed me some pictures of it the other day and said, "Dude, this is the official drink of Fade to Black."
On the opening night, the season premiere, my brother came up to watch the show, and he brought me a bottle of Hangar One vodka. He's like, "Dude, we're gonna have some Hangar One vodka." All right, Sparky, let's go. Yeah. So I'm gonna next week. I'm gonna have my Hangar One vodka, and I'm going to have my COA vape stuff. Is that right?
Yes.
And my Jimmy Church T-shirt.
Yes.
And I'm ready. I'm going to be completely decked out. If only we could come up with Hangar One hats. I want a hat. Let's go.
Yeah,
what do we have to do to get Hangar One hats?
What's up with that? I thought, when I met with Doug and Paul, I thought I was going to leave the production company, with a swag bag. I didn't even get a hat. Do they not make Hangar One hats? I don't even know.
No swag yet. Maybe if there is a season 3, that'd be pretty cool.
Yeah, that's pretty much when you've arrived, when the network invests in swag.
Swag. I'm ready. And I would wear it. Are you kidding me? I would wear the Hangar One shirt, jacket, pants, shoes, hat. I'd use a Hangar One pen.
How long have you been in Pasadena?
about 26 years. We'll be married for 26 years.
Okay, so you moved there. The reason why I ask, because I can picture you back in the day, and you remember this since you've been there long enough. Downtown Old Town Pasadena used to be no man's land. That's where you went to go buy crack and get robbed. And
oh yeah, nobody went to town.
No, nobody. The only place down there. Do you remember the Loch Ness Monster Pub? Do you remember that place?
Well, I got to tell you, I didn't go down there when we first got married, and it was just turning around, becoming really cool Old Town. And so, no, I don't remember that, and I apologize. I'm not from this area. My wife grew up here, and I was down in Orange County, and then when we got together, I came up here.
Well,
so I've. Yeah.
My point being that you now have seen the transition, and Old Town Pasadena is the place to be. You can't park, you can't walk. There's tens of thousands of people down there 7 days a week. It's insane. It didn't used to be that way. It was no man's land. It was all the businesses were boarded up. Now it is one of the most successful gentrification programs I've ever seen in my lifetime.
Oh,
and it's
amazing.
Now, can you imagine if you walk down there now with a Fade to Black T-shirt and a Hangar One hat in Old Town? I can just picture you doing that.
I'm ready. Sign me up. I got to tell you, it's so very cool. I'm completely humbled by the things that people say. It's very, very nice. It's very cool.
I ask everybody this. I asked Doug and Paul. I just asked Melissa and Mike Barra. Everybody that's been on this show. Just ask Rodger Marsh. I'm going to ask you the same question. How do you frigging explain the success of Hangar One and shows like Ancient Alien? How do you explain the success of Hangar One? It just seems to resonate.
Well, I got to tell you, I mean, I really have thought about it. I thought about it a lot, and I think that part of the reason that we're having some success, and I really think we are, part of it is in the quality of the production. That it is a seriously good show. That season 1 was what it was, and then the people. I'm not a television guy, so I don't really know exactly how it works. But you can tell just by looking at. You can compare the seasons side by side, and you can tell that the people behind it said, this is a show that we need to put a little bit more into. And you can tell the quality of the recreations, they're really good. And just the quality of the writing and everything about it, and the number of people that they have on it and everything. And so that's part of it. And it has to be that good so that a guy like so that Dale, one of my brothers, will watch it. It doesn't look hokey. It doesn't look cheesy. It is handled in a serious way and an intelligent way. When Richard Dolan is sitting there on the screen, that guy just drips with authenticity, and he's an intelligent guy, and that this is a show that has some intelligent stuff. Hey, once in a while, somebody said last week, that show kind of went off the rails a little bit. Yeah, that's all right, because we're talking about pretty wild stuff, but it has to be a good quality show so that people will watch it, and not just UFO people, because you personally, and we at Hangar One, I know for a fact that we have an audience of people that will watch it no matter what. They're going to watch it, and they're just the faithful watchers because they'll watch anything that has the word UFO in it. Right. But the people who check it out, the people who have a little bit of interest, they're the ones that keep coming back if it's well done, and that's the reason why people are out there searching. This same brother. Dale is his name. And he is very conservative, very level-headed thinking guy. A few years ago, he said, Dwight, if you read this book, and he puts this book in my hand, it was Leslie Kean's UFOs, General Pilots, and Government Officials Speak Out or Go on the Record or something. Okay, have you read that book?
Yeah, I have read it. I have it. It's called On the Record. On the Record. On the Record, yeah. And he says, Dwight, have you read this book? And here's a guy who never in his life, you would never think that he'd, read something about UFOs. I said, well, actually, Dale, I haven't. He says, you got to read that book. And so he loaned it to me, and I couldn't burn through it fast enough. It's fantastic. And I communicated with Leslie Kean after I read it. I said, you never mentioned in this book anything about extraterrestrials. And she said, that's not what the book's about. It's about UFOs. And what happened was I realized that a guy like Dale, a conservative guy who doesn't necessarily, believe in extraterrestrials, he would read a book like that because it was intelligently presented with fantastic research and stuff to back it up. And I think that's why a show like Hangar One, which has enough of the really wild stuff to keep the really faithful UFO people engaged, it has enough of that, but it also has, it has this meatier, more easily consumed information as well. And if people want more, if they want to go deeper into the subject, well, they can look at a guy, they can just search Richard Dolan's name, and there's just a billion YouTube, videos and stuff, and he's written the books. And then it leads people to the trough. Does that make sense? I have never said that before. I think that makes sense. It leads people, and if they want more, they can get it. But if they don't, they can get a really good presentation just by watching the show. And I think people are just ready to learn more from a quality production. Yeah.
Wow, how about that?
That's exactly right. But Dwight, I think it's very important, and I think what is important here is that shows like this, like Fade to Black and like Hangar One, what you do, what people have the ability to do now is the stuff that interests them. It could be a word, a catchphrase, a photograph, a video, but they'll write that down. Then they have the ability to go as far as they want to on the internet and go and research far and wide. And that's what you can do with Hangar One or with this show. The way that I do it, because I do it the very same way. I'll go and whatever it is, I'll go and research because I pick up little things here and there. I was one of those guys, and this is what I think our audience is. I was one of those kids when I went into a library for the first time. wherever it was, public library, a new one, a school or whatever, and I would walk into a library for the first time. I would go straight to the U's. Okay, I'd go right to UFO, and I would look to see what was on the shelf. And that's what I would do. That's what I wouldn't go to sports. I wouldn't go to cars. I wouldn't go to history. I would go straight to the UFO section. I would if I found a new encyclopedia set, right, brand new. Oh, okay. I'd get the U out, and I'd go straight to UFO. And that's our audience. You know, they're just like me. And they're going to go and find something new, find something fresh, and then go and research it. And that's the ability that they have now that nobody's ever had before. I totally agree with you. Totally agree.
Well, I think that's one thing I think that Hangar 1 does, and I think that's another reason why things continue, that we will continue to have success. And like I said, I think this is the third time I've said it. I'm not really a TV guy. I'm just a guy who's lucky enough to get to tell the stories on TV. But people, they'll say something on the Facebook or they'll say something on Twitter, whatever it is. And one thing that people really like is that it's not the old stuff rehashed over and over again. When we do mention a classic story, when we do talk about, if Roswell comes up or Rendlesham or whatever it is, we at least bring something forward that really hasn't been discussed very much. But what is really cool is that a lot of the stuff that's being presented on Hangar 1, it's a lot of information that nobody has ever, seen before. When we did that show, Underwater UFOs, and my two favorites are so far Underwater UFOs and The Smoking Gun, which was great. Yes. There's stories in there that we really haven't been out on the air before. And it's blowing people's minds. Like, this really happened? Yes, this really happened. We have these, these reports, these personal testimonies from these folks. And it's, people are just digging on it. It's great. And I get to tell the stories.
So your favorite was Underwater UFOs?
Yeah, you know what? It was, yes, it was the content, and also I really liked the graphics. I liked the underwater graphics, and there were many times. In fact, there were those two episodes. We were talking with Melissa about the production, how it happens. And there were times during those, I remember recording those two episodes, and I was getting so excited by what I got to talk about. And the cameraman, a couple of times, he said, dude, you got to sit back in your chair. You're blowing my focus. I'm like, what? He says, yeah, and I kept leaning forward. I'm like, oh, sorry, man. And so I had to relax and sit back because, I'm that's what I do.
Yeah,
it's my job to get excited about it because it is so stinking cool that I get to tell these stories, and so that's it. I'm so excited about it. So.
Well, and a little other. I'll say this. I'm going to ask you the same question too. I'll let you follow up on this. But with me, I had the same experiences. I was leaning forward. I was getting passionate. I was getting loud. And they were like, Jimmy, chill out, sit back, relax, But I was getting passionate about it. And then what Doug had done, and I even think the cameraman might have done this once or twice too, where they asked me certain things where I just what's the word, improvise, or I just went off, and
right,
and I was very fortunate to that stuff is what made it into Hangar 1. My wife and I last week, I think it was last week, or maybe the week before, I think it was last week. Hey, we happened to watch the show, and there this one section came on, and with me. And I remember exactly, that was one of my most passionate moments. And the subject was government interference and whatever. But I could see my eyebrows were scrunched up, and I looked pissed off, and I was leaning forward, and I was being very vocal. But that is exactly what I had to say. And they took that made it into the show, and it was one of my favorite parts because I don't like watching myself on TV. I don't like looking at pictures of myself. I can't stand it. I can't stand my voice. I can't. It's nails on a chalkboard. But that moment, and I had turned to Rita, and I'm serious about this. I turned to her and I said, "Do you see that? That right there was passion. That right there is exactly." I said exactly what was on my mind, and I can tell myself. When I'm hearing myself speak, it's a freedom of thought is what I'm trying to say. The show isn't about me, Dwight. It's not about you, but what it is, but they allow us, the cast members on the show, they allow us that freedom to go for it and to get that message across. That campfire vibe that resonated. I heard that word so many times. Well, but that's
everybody has a part to play, and that's what they do. They carefully create something. And you're right. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's not about Melissa or anybody else who's on the show. It's about getting the information and telling these stories in a way that gets people engaged and wants them to getting people engaged and wanting to learn more. It's about bringing people the MUFON story. And who is MUFON? Well, let's go check them out. That's what it's about. And then that's why it's such a thrill. It's so cool to be a part of it.
Okay. Now I have to ask you this question. There were a couple of moments. We shot all day and all night, but there were a couple of moments where I went off, right, and then I stopped and I yelled to Melissa, "Was that okay?" She said, "Yeah." And I said, "Well, I forgot what I said. Can I do another one?" I forgot. I just completely forgot. And she was like, "No, Jimmy, no, that was fine." And we moved on, and I completely forgot what I had said. Did you get into the zone like that?
There are many times, and this is the weird thing. We watch the show here at home. Now, it comes on at 10 o'clock, and so I'll watch 15, 20, sometimes 30 minutes of it, and then I'll finish it the next day because, it's late. But I do watch it, and sometimes I'm watching it with my wife, and I'm watching it, and I go, and I pause. In fact, she's in the other room. I think I just bring her near and have her say, "Yes, that happens." I'll pause, and I'll look at her, and I'll go, "I don't remember saying that." Exactly. I have no. What did I just say? And I'm like, I don't remember saying that. But that's just part of it. You're in the midst of this thing, and of course it is part of it. It's a long day. It's a very long day. And but yeah, I do the same thing. I'll go through a part, and then I'll stop, and I'll ask, and that was all right. Yeah, that's fine. Move on. Like, okay, Sparky. And we just keep going. But that does happen on occasion. In fact, somebody tweeted me something. Quoted me in a tweet. How do you even say that? I'm so out of it. He quoted me. He said, "You said this," and I'm like, "Yeah, I guess I did. I don't remember saying that." But that happened. It's just so cool. So sometimes Doug, Paul will be saying to me, he's like, he says, "Now, Dwight," he says, at this moment, you're going to be coming right off of one of the recreations. You're in full, he'll say it, you're in full story mode. Okay, and I get ready to go. And sometimes I say, okay, now we got to go back and you got to do it without your hands in front of your face. Because I'm just, I'm trying to tell a story and I'm weaving my hand like I'm telling the story. And so we'll go back and do it over again. But yeah, that happens. Sometimes I forget what I said. I'm going to forget what I said tonight. I can't remember what I said 8 seconds ago.
Yeah, I had that experience over and over again.
Yeah.
And I was thinking, man, I'm going to be embarrassed. I can't remember. But then I went back and when I caught those little bits over the last season, I was like, okay, all right. I could tell that I was angry, I was pissed off, and I just tried to get my point across, and it happened to fit. It was called good editing, I guess. But yeah.
Can I tell you something funny that happened? Can I say something funny that happened on the set?
Sure.
Of course, having asked that, what are you going to do? Say no and say move on?
No, I want to know. I want to know that.
No, you can't. Stop talking. They said, okay, Dwight, we just need some wild lines. They call them wild lines, or I think that's what they call it, wild lines. And so they had written some stuff out. So it was things like, think about it, or what would you do if this happened to you? Stuff like that. And just these few word sentences. And they just said, we might use these, we might tuck them into the show somewhere. I'm like, all right. So I sat there and I read a few of them, and they've written them out. Okay, just read this. So I'm like, well, think about it. It's so amazing. What would you do if, and then it stopped, and I just kept going, and I went on for like 3 minutes. It's just amazing to think. And just wonder, what about this? And they all started laughing at me. And I'm like, hey, cameraman, back off. He says, no. He says, you're doing exactly that they wanted you to do. It was kind of funny. Like, I kept going. It was funny. So I guess it wasn't that funny.
Yeah. I had that happen.
Funny
Okay. I'll tell you my funny story. And it's embarrassing, but it actually happened. So after, I'm on set for like 4 hours. And I was like, okay, guys, I got to go to the bathroom. So, I break off and I go in, use the bathroom, and I go over and wash my hands. And I was hot. It was a hot night. And I just washed my face, right? Just, feels so, and I went, oh, crap. I just washed off 30 minutes worth of makeup. And I looked up.
Right.
Yep. And I looked up in the mirror, and the makeup is dripping down. And I went, oh, man, I'm in trouble now. And I walked out, and now I had no choice. My face is wet, so I had to take, a paper towel and really dry my face off. And now I looked like a freak. And I walked out, and I went right up to, I think it was Paul standing there. I said, Paul, I just washed my makeup off. he jumps on it was so funny. They had to stop everything right there. Jumping on the Jimmy washed off his makeup. Jimmy washed off his makeup. They're on the walkie-talkies, and they had to pull over the makeup people and had to redo me. And I felt like such a doofus that I did that. So that's my funny story of the night. And but yeah, I actually did it. I'll never make that mistake again. I was just so hot, and I couldn't resist, and I just scrubbed my face down. It was hilarious. Oh, to see Paul's face, and then we can't match you now. Oh man, it was just so funny. And I'll tell you another funny thing. I had brought I brought a suit with me, not a tie, but a jacket. And so we get on set, and the lights, and it was just so hot. It was a hot day to begin with, and I sat down and I put the suit jacket down. And 8 hours later, I stood up, and there was my jacket. I never put it on, and I just wore this shirt that was unbuttoned, and I completely spaced it, and so that's my other funny story. But the one thing that I can really give Paul and everybody over there, Doug, credit for is the size and the scope of the set when you get there, the professionalism, the catering, wardrobe, makeup, sound, the way that they it's just like you're walking around and you feel like you're on a Steven Spielberg set. I'll
tell you what, nothing happens by accident. They are the team in general. They're just pros. They really, really are, and they make the guy sitting in the chair with the cameras. They make that guy feel, like $1 million. Like, you're doing great. This is what's happening, and it's really, I'm like, okay, this is television, and it's really, really cool, and that's part of what happens on the screen with the people who, Friday nights, what they see for the first time. It took hours and hours and hours and hours to put together, and it doesn't happen by accident. It's very careful and well done, and I think those guys do a pro job. They know exactly what they're doing, the goal being to put on the best possible production. And I got to tell you, everybody associated with the show from the production side of things, they're just full-on pros, and it's very exciting to be a part of it.
Yeah, and it shows. I mean, when the network is behind you, giving you the thumbs up, that's everybody's relaxed and focused, and they have a mission to accomplish. And I have no idea how many people were there. But it was a lot. I mean, that was a big production, and I was only there for one day of it. But wow, very, very professional. All right, let's take our last break, Dwight. And when we come back, you asked me to take some phone calls. You want to take some phone calls?
Sure.
Are you down for that?
People are nice. I'm down. I am down with your hip lingo. Yeah, man. But I do have, when you get back, I don't want to forget, I have a Fader fact for you when we get back.
Okay. When we come back, Dwight Equitz has got a Fader fact. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA, The Planet. It's our Hangar 1 special, part 2 with Dwight Equitz. We'll be back right after this. Stay with us.
Despite popular opinion, reading a book will not make you smarter.
Attention, all Fadernauts. Studio Dome has a special deal on their SD1 Bluetooth speaker. Just go to jimmychurchradio.com, click on their banner, enter the promo code Jimmy, and you get $40 off and free shipping on the SD1. It's voice activated, comes with a USB antenna, cables, and a carry bag. Never listen to your phone, tablet, or laptop speakers ever again. It's the only way to listen to Fade to Black. That's jimmychurchradio.com, Studio Dome banner, promo code Jimmy. Go Beckley Teppy.
This is Kristen, Erica, Brittany, Gabby, and you're listening to JimmyChurchRadio.com.
It's not a lifestyle we chose. We were born this way. KGRARadio.com.
Hey, everybody, what's up? Jimmy Church of Fade to Black, and check this out. The 2015 MUFON Symposium will be held this September 24th through the 27th in beautiful downtown Irvine, California. Expanding ufology, opening new doors in academia, industry, and media. Former Defense Minister of Canada Paul Hellyer will be there in person. Former CNN news anchor Cheryl Jones, TV news journalist Jaime Maussan, and MUFON's chief photo analyst Mark D'Antonio. They're just a few of the growing list of names for the 2015 event. It's September 24th through the 27th at the beautiful Hotel Irvine. Get your tickets today at MUFONSymposium.com. That's MUFONSymposium.com. Go Beckley Teppy.
This is KJCR at JimmyChurchRadio.com.
All right, everybody, welcome back. This is Fade to Black on the Game Changer Network and KGRA The Planet. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Follow us on Twitter at JChurchRadio. You can also shoot me an email to Jimmy at JimmyChurchRadio.com. You can also go to the contact page over at JimmyChurchRadio.com and shoot us an email right there. We're talking with Dwight Equitz. Hey, okay, Dwight, a Fader fact. What do you got?
JimmyChurchRadio.com. When taken into account the speed of rotation of the Earth and how it's spinning around and going around the sun, and then that our solar system is going through the Milky Way galaxy at a certain speed, and the Milky Way galaxy is spinning around, takes about 200 million years to go around once, so we're not going to be here for the next revolution, and that the Milky Way galaxy is itself spinning around as well, going wherever it's going. We're traveling at about 65,000 miles per hour.
Is that a Fader fact?
That's a Fader fact. It's a fact.
65,000 miles.
Don't anybody tweet me or text me or something and saying, well, when you take into account the speed of light and the measure of light years, no, stop it. It's about 65,000 miles per hour.
What do you and speaking about that, I wanted to ask you a couple of other questions. What do you think about time travel?
Oh my gosh, it's definitely possible. Sorry.
Well,
yeah. Well, see, I have a very safe answer for that. I definitely believe in God, that there is a God, and we're not going to talk about religion and stuff. I know, but I believe that God, being an omniscient, omnipresent, and all that stuff, God, He travels through time, and He could give the power to travel through time to a human if He wanted to. So Is time travel possible? Yes. Does man do it? Well, if man did, we'd probably already know, because if somebody's traveled through time, we would already know because they travel in time. Does that make sense?
Well, yes and no. Well, yes, it makes sense, but I don't necessarily agree with that. And, well, I'll give you a couple of examples. If you look throughout time, going back, you can pick a date. It doesn't matter. But on this timeline, on our timeline throughout history, there are very significant leaps of technology and knowledge that what I think. This is what I think. I think that our future has come back and corrected a couple of spots in our timeline to help us out. One of them, I firmly believe that simple things like farming and the knowledge of wheat and how to pull that off just didn't come. Stone Age man didn't one day just go, "Hey man, I got this all figured out. We can."
I'll tell you what. You are talking to a believer here. I have no problem with that. There's a great book by a guy named Graham Hancock. You know that name? I'm sure you know that name.
He's been on the show. Yes.
I said that in a very pompous way. I apologize. But do you know who that guy is? Graham Hancock, Fingerprints of the Gods.
Yes.
Do you know his book? And sorry, I did it again. God, I'm such an idiot. Sorry. But it was just a fantastic book for me. And I was studying at the time. I was studying mythology. Every year I study a different subject, and that year I was studying mythology. And one of my son's teachers at school, a Bible teacher, in fact, he said, "You should read this book," and talks a lot about mythology. Well, what Hancock does is he goes, he starts in Antarctica and he goes around the world, goes up through South America and Central America and over to Egypt. And he's talking about all these mythologies. And one of the things that just jumps off the page to me, of course, he says, attributes it to an ancient civilization. In South America, there's this character that appears kind of out of nowhere, comes across the water, Viracocha. And Viracocha is this tall, straight-nosed, long-haired, has a beard person who teaches the people about agriculture and raises their civilization. Well, in Central America, the same character appears, and his name is Quetzalcoatl in whatever it is, in the Mayan civilization. And so, all of a sudden, this person appears. Now, could it be from an ancient civilization, someone that survived and then came back and taught the people? Yeah. Or could it be a time traveler? Well, proof otherwise. It certainly could be something, and I'm with it. There are some reasons that throughout time we have these giant leaps, you're right, of technology, of knowledge. And is it the ancient alien theorists say it's ancient aliens, or Graham Hancock would say it was an ancient civilization, a holdover from that, or you just said it could be time travel. Hey, I don't know. They're not all those answers are not deal breakers. The fact is that it happened, so let's figure out how it happened. To be a lot of fun to research it.
Yeah, and when you know what, I brought in a call and there was some noise in the line, so you're just going to have to call back. And there's a couple other callers here, but I want to get this point across. When we look at, you brought up religion earlier. When we look at angels and gods and everything coming from the stars, everything, they weren't coming from the dirt. They weren't coming from the womb. It was always, whatever the civilization was, it was always from the stars. And could that be time travelers? Could, this ancient alien theory that is out there, could that be time travel? It's like insert ancient alien and insert time traveler, and you could almost have the same type of theory there. Yeah.
Again, you're not going to get an argument from me. These things aren't. They're not deal breakers. It's not. There are people who will argue with you that will say it has to be this, it has to be that, and it's like, dude, you got to chill. It could be all kind of things. What is important is that it happened. So let's talk about that it happened. I mean, you have these people who are basically just scratching the surface of the ground, and all of a sudden they discover agriculture and architecture. How did that happen? Well, let's talk about that, and don't get too wrapped up in your particular answer, because there could be a different answer. Let's just be. I meet Jimmy. I meet a lot of people who are so set in their way that their answer is the only answer. And to those those questions that you're asking, well, there could be a couple of different ways to go.
Let's go to the phones. Hi, you're live on Fade to Black. Say hi to Dwight Equitz. Who's calling?
Hey, Dwight, this is Casper Parks. I say thank you for Hangar 1. It's a really great show. I think the show's getting a lot of success. It's getting a lot of support on the internet from the UFO community in general. Various websites have, forums up and threads and stuff are dedicated to the show. People talk about it a lot. So I think you're getting a lot of support. People are really getting behind it. I think that's helped a lot. Do you think so?
Well, yeah. I mean, from what I can tell, of course, there's a MUFON Facebook page, and I see some forums, and I'm a regular guy. I search Hangar 1. I want to see what people are talking about it. The first time I searched it, like the day after the first episode aired last year, there was a scathing review. This guy just hated me, and I'm like, dude. And I ran into my wife and I said, look, they're talking about me. Like I didn't care that it was good or bad. Like, look, there's my name. Look, babe, look. So yeah, but since then, and certainly after season 2 has come around, and people are saying exactly what you just said. You are representing whatever number, thousands of people, which is so cool. Thank you. Yeah, some people are saying some really positive things, and they're liking it, and they know that they can comment. If you like something about the show, send a message over to MUFON or contact the production companies. They're listening to you. They want to know what you would do in the next season. I certainly hope there is another season. They're listening to you, and they made changes from season 1 to season 2 because of folks watching the show.
Did you have a question for Dwight?
Well, I don't know. I was talking to Rodger popped into the chat room at KGR, at KGRA. Sorry. They had a UFO sighting from 1971 when I was 14 in Southwest Michigan. I thought it was kind of late to be reporting to MUFON. At least I go ahead and report it anyway. So, and it was a close-up sighting, close enough and low enough to throw a rock at. There were like 4 of us. So,
holy cow!
But
yeah, well,
we called it in. Then I saw it about 10 days later when I was by myself, and I lost about 3 hours of time. That was really weird. And then the Army came out to the summer camp we were at, and kind of just gave me a dirty look. He said it was an experimental helicopter.
Yeah, if you can remember the exact date and the time, you should always go back and report it, because somebody else can go back and see that and then comment on it too. Yeah, I was there. I remember. So
Mm-hmm.
I would say definitely go file the report. Do it.
Yeah, I can get the month, but I think I can get the date at this point. Because I was 1971, so a long time ago.
Yeah, exactly. But, yeah, I hear you. I can't remember the exact date of my sighting from 2 years ago. I can only tell you it was in the summer. Yeah, I'm with you.
I'll let you guys have other callers. Thank you for taking the call. Appreciate it.
Hey, thanks for watching, man. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
Bye.
He brings up a really good point, Dwight. And so did you. One of the things when people post negative stuff about anything, it could be about Hangar 1, it could be about the TV show Friends. It doesn't matter. But if somebody's going to post something negative, it just lets you know that you're relevant. That's it. They're not going to post something positive or negative about something that doesn't matter. And I always look at it that way, that they listen and they comment because it matters. If it didn't matter, they wouldn't care.
Yeah, you know what? And I've had some people contact me on Facebook, and the power or the curse of the internet is the ability to just walk over to somebody in this great big party that we're all attending. You can just walk over to somebody, some stranger, and say, "Hey, you know what? You're an idiot," and then walk away.
Right.
And that's just how it works. Online communication is just that way. And I've had some people say some things, and I know that they're not they're not like that in person. And some people have said some stuff, and I will respond to them, not every time, but certainly if I feel that it would be okay. And I'll respond to them, and I'll say, hey, I'm sorry you didn't like that, and that's really who I am. One guy complained about the way I use my hands when I talk, and I said, well, that's me. That's what I do. That's why I'm sitting there. I'm just the guy, and I happen to tell stories, and I talk with my hands a bit. And I said, but I hope that you watch the show and enjoy the parts, certainly not the parts that include me, but look at something else. And you know what? He answered me right back. He apologized. He said, I apologize. I was out of line. He said, I really like the show. And he went on. And now he's a major, he watches the show, and he's major on my Facebook page, and he's like telling people about it and reposting business and everything. Solomon said, a gentle answer turneth away wrath. And that's something that I just want to do. People say stuff, I'm like, hey, man, it's okay. The show is what it is. Thanks for watching. And luckily, a lot more people like the show than don't. And even the folks who find stuff they don't like about it, there's enough about it that they like. I mean, son of a gun, there's a lot of information, and it's really cool. So, anyway, that's my thing.
About a year ago, I had this guy that was posting. I'll make up a name. His name was like Buttnut, right? And he's just criticizing and just vicious. And I was like, and I just ignored it, and I never responded back or anything. But it was just like getting ugly. And then I meet the guy, right? He comes up and he says, "Hey, Jimmy, this was
Buttnut.
It's me, Buttnut." And it was this little skinny guy. He's about 100 pounds, and I'm like, dude, really? But the power of the keyboard, this little guy is sitting there at his keyboard just saying this stuff like, he's Mr. Tough Guy. And he comes up to me, and I mean, it was like, first off, I was relieved, that I could, kick the crap out of this guy and not worry about it. But now he's one of my, supporters, and his name isn't really Bud. Right. But now he's my bro. And we had a little conversation, and it was just like, you know what? And he was kind of laughing about it. And I was like, really? You went all dark for 3 months, and then we meet in person, and you want to sit here and laugh about it, little guy? You're lucky I don't crack you in the head right now. But anyway, that's the power of the keyboard. You're absolutely right. You don't know who is typing. And more than likely, the guy that's typing that nasty stuff is not The Rock. That's not who's doing it. That's why I really do, especially with a social network like Facebook, because that's where everybody. There's 1 billion people on Facebook. It's Facebook, and I really do see it as a gigantic party, and everybody's invited to. And there's a conversation group going on over there, and there's one over there, and we're able to, with the power of this, connection, we're able to drift over and listen in on that conversation, and then go over here. And you would never walk up to a stranger at a dinner party and say, "Oh, God, you look like such an idiot in that tie," and just walk away. Right. You would never do that. Ever. But the power of Facebook allows you to do that. And so I this one guy, it's on my personal page, my actual personal page. And speaking of ignoring people, I never ignore people, but if anybody wants to contact me about Hangar 1, there's a separate page that I've set up for that, so they find me. Anyway, this one guy, I posted something on my regular page. And this one guy, this friend of mine, I must have gone to high school with him or something. I haven't seen him in a long time. And he said this horrible thing. And I'm like, dude, I answered back I said, you know what? At this party, and I described it, I said, you're like the guy who's had too much to drink, and his girlfriend needs to take him outside to get some fresh air. You need to stop. And he later on apologized. It was right. He says, I didn't realize I was doing that. Well, that's just, like you say, that's the power of the internet. It's the power of the keyboard. Yeah, it's permeated this culture that's out there. It's something that I've just chosen to ignore. That's it. I'm not a negative guy. Neither are you. I don't read it because it slows me down. It slows me down. I will click. I will block. I will unfriend. I will toss. I don't allow foul language. I don't allow you want to call me a fat pig that is stupid. That's one thing. But just don't attack people and don't use foul language and whatever. Because I know that I'm a fat slob. I know these things. So that's okay.
I didn't say anything. I'm just sitting here drawing pictures of the Starship Enterprise. I'm not even listening to you anymore.
It's really true.
Speaking of, I got to make sure that I say something positive here at this moment. We're talking about this negative stuff. This Facebook thing is just amazing. It really, really is. And Dwight Equitz on Hangar 1, I think that's what my Hangar 1 page is. So I have had people contact me and tell me the most amazing stories and say cool things. I don't know if you see my page. But like last week, there was a guy who wrote this long story about it. He was a policeman. He's a policeman. He told me why police officers, wouldn't report. And it just, these cool things that people feel now able to open up and talk. And again, that's one reason why the show is working, is that it's talking to real people who have real stories. And it's just so cool. I want to say thank you to every person who takes a moment and just said, hey, the show's great. Thank you. I can't talk to all of you, but I can on Jimmy Church, Radio Fade to Black. So thank you.
I got to thank you for coming on. Now, let's, before I do let you go, the best way to contact you is on the Facebook page, which is Dwight Equitz, Hangar 1. Are you going to...
Yeah.
The next event that's coming up is the MUFON Symposium. I'll see you down there. You're going to be there?
I would expect so. I haven't talked to the guys about it. I sent a message to Jan Harzan a while back, way before they were doing any planning. I'm like, look, I'm not Richard Dolan, but I do have years of experience being master of ceremonies. I would love to, direct something on stage someday or something. But no, I haven't heard anything about anything that's going on. I am planning on being there.
Well,
it's right down the street, basically. It's right over there. I can throw a rock at Irvine. So.
I'll throw Jan under the bus right now. Check this out. Jan and I, we were talking about the symposium. And I said, okay, check. And I said, okay, I'll handle Dwight. He said, you handle Dwight. So you are going to be there. There you go. You're invited. Done.
I will be there.
There you go. We'll talk about more of that off there. Thank you, Dwight. I had such a great time tonight, man. I can't wait to actually hang out with you, and let's go walk the streets of Old Town, and I can't wait to get you back on the show. Thank you so much.
The pleasure is entirely mine, and thank you. All these nice people have said nice things about me on Twitter, the Fader Not group, and all of you. Thank you. And Jimmy, it's a pleasure. Anytime you say the word, Wednesday night is yours. Thank you very much.
We're going to walk the streets of Old Town in our Fade to Black shirts, and we'll do it very soon. Thank you so much, Dwight.
I'm ready. Thanks, man. Bye.
All the best. Dwight Equitz, everybody. That's how you say it, too, by the way. It's Equitz. Dwight Equitz. And that's our Hangar 1 Part 2 special. Wow, what a great time tonight. Hey, you know what? Let me back things up a little bit. Thank you so much. I had a great time tonight, everybody. But I have to back up because there was something that I needed to cover tonight, and it was... Oh, yeah. Here it is. Check this out. The Chinese government, the Chinese Defense Ministry. Oh, by the way, why isn't there... I was thinking about this morning in reviewing some of this Chinese military stuff. Why isn't there like a Chinese CIA? Russia's got their thing. Israel's got theirs. Britain's got theirs. Everybody's got their little secret thing. Why doesn't the Chinese, or do they? Because I couldn't find out any information on that. I just thought that was funny. It was kind of weird. Anyway, the Chinese Defense Ministry confirmed that the fourth test of a hypersonic nuclear delivery vehicle, which the U.S. called an extreme maneuver, by the way, amid rising tensions between the two powers in the South China Sea. They're building islands out there and military bases and airstrips, and we're buzzing them, and they're offended, and they're telling us to leave, and all of this. While all of this is going on, they test this thing. It's another... Now, we just tested ours, right? Second flight just happened. Hypersonic, go anywhere in the world in an hour kind of frightening thought kind of thing, if you know what I'm saying. And the test was of the hypersonic glide vehicle, which the U.S. had dubbed the WU-14. It was carried out on June 7th, and it was the missile's fourth test in 18 months. The strategic strike weapon is extremely advanced and can travel 10 times the speed of sound, or 12,231 kilometers per hour. It's insane. U.S. missile defense systems can only counter ballistic missiles and warheads that have predictable trajectories. The W-14 is capable of maneuvering during flight. Now, check what I just said. Hypersonic, 12,000 kph, and it can change directions. It's insane. And it can do all of this while traveling at the edge of space. We can't shoot this thing down even if we wanted to. It's one of the craziest situations ever. Insane. You need to check it out. It's called the WU-14. Tonight, overnight, do some reading, do some studying. Tomorrow night, got to talk about this. Tomorrow night, we're going to continue the trivia challenge. I'm not too sure what the official name is going to be. And all of you Fadernauts out there, don't think I haven't read. I haven't checked it all out. We've got a whole list of proposed names. Is that what it is? Ministry of State Security. That is from Brandon A. That's the Chinese CIA, the Ministry of State Security. Thank you for that. I couldn't find it today. It was kind of weird. The MSS, Ministry of State Security. Interesting. So we're going to do the Fader Night Trivia Challenge tomorrow night. We have had a whole list of names for the show, and we're bouncing things around. I do like, you know what's in the running for me personally? I don't make the decisions around here. We all know who does. But what was the French one that I think it was K-28? What was it? Jeu de Black or something like that? The Game of Black. I kind of like that. That one kind of resonates with me. I kind of dig that. But so I want to have everybody continue your suggestions. Oh, Rita just says the name has been picked. See, I don't even know these things. The name has been picked. Rita, what's the name? Are you going? What? Are you going to clue me in? You got to love that. See, I don't even know. I like the French one, though. So anyway, Rita, I was just asking for. See, nobody tells me any of this stuff. So I guess the name has been picked, everybody. I'll find out when you do. But that's what we're going to do tomorrow night. And yes, tomorrow night we're going to be running video. We are going to have a live studio cam going on just for you faders. All right. Now, we'll have everything set up tomorrow. When you go to jimmychurchradio.com, we'll figure out, you'll see how to get there and how to navigate. I think for tomorrow night's show, though, it is going to be on the homepage. Okay? So tomorrow you'll be able to, now, and remember, we're trying to overcome a couple of things and of a technical nature. We're trying to line up the audio from the live feed and have that sync up to the audio on the video feed. If we can't get that right, you can mute the video feed and listen to the normal audio feed, which is cool. That same audio feed is feeding into the video, but the video is delayed. So we're trying to figure out the best way to do it. So tomorrow night, just as a treat, we're going to do this on the homepage. The video looks great. I'm happy with that. I would not do this. Trust me, I wouldn't do this unless the video was cool. I didn't want to have something jumpy, jiggery, messed up, jittery, skipping frame stuff. No, it is high def. It looks great. Colors are good. It looks good. Okay, so tomorrow night we're going to do this for all of you Fadernauts, and we're going to run live video. If we have a successful run with this, then we'll figure out how we're going to do things in the future. Okay, but certainly Fader Night will be live video feeds. And the reason why I think it's a great idea is because Fader Night is for you. And with all of the live phone calls coming in and doing the trivia and having it, and also you will see that I'm not cheating. And that is why we are doing it. All right. So that's it. Tomorrow night, Fader Night, live video for the first time. It's going to be really cool. This is Fade to Black. Thank you to Rodger Marsh, Melissa Tittl, Dwight Equitz, and the Hangar One Special. I had a great time tonight. Fade to Black's executive producers, Rita Kamarian. Show's produced by Hilton J. Palm, Mark D. Kovar, LJ3, Renee, Mark Dunbar, and Jonas. Announcers are Steve Harder, Gene Vito, and Mark D. Kovar. Katie Bidale. Webmaster is Method of Signaling. Music is Doug Aldrich. Intro, Spaceboy, spaceboymusic.com. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. Syndication is KGRA The Planet. Tomorrow night, Fader Night. And the name, I don't know what it is. And it has something to do with trivia. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Do follow us on Twitter @JChurchRadio. Email is jimmy@jimmychurchradio.com. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. I want everybody to be safe. Until tomorrow night, it's Thursday, Fader Night. Be safe. See ya.